I think it was Loeb,
My
Windrum,
my
Bain,
wife's uncle,
Petrolanda, and
retired
Garcia
military, army.
in
lives
2014.
in Fayetteville. Well, una parte ahí cerca de, closer to the army, because that's both army and air force.
I'd have to look
combined.
that one. I don't have that.
Oh, yeah. Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg.
This was 2014 and the mayor was Z Garcia.
Big
Yeah.
community.
He's very excited because he was at the
Oh,
West
good,
Palm Beach
good for him,
was for
because
HBA for many years. Después fue para Puerto Rico y ahora coming back.
cosas en Puerto Rico tan difícil. I know a couple of people that have moved just
Yeah.
recently.
Él estaba muy contento ahí, pero quiere estar más cerca de la familia.
No, I understand.
Was just
Hey, chief, the only thing es que te quita el incentivo de ir a verlo.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
Captain,
Fine.
oh, captain, my captain.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, I was looking up something for them.
Yes.
Oh, that who's coming in on Zoom is Heidi, probably. She's not feeling well. She's under the weather.
Se me olvidó mencionarte que yo cambié con él for the invocation. I'll be doing it tonight. Yes.
Mics are hot, I think.
I can't hear you.
The mics are hot.
Hey.
Do you know this gentleman?
No.
Is it popping up on?
No, he worked for years for this county, and he was hired back in 2011. It was for teaching.
Okay, Brian.
2017.
You know how long this lasted?
Mhm.
2 years.
Murder.
That was-
I think that's, well, when we discuss it, we'll discuss that too,
But
because
he used to, he worked for the county. That's
I
where he got it
remember,
from. Doing
yeah.
strategic planning or something.
his name doesn't ring a bell at all. Erica, are we ready? Okay. We have anyone that's joining us? I believe just the attorney, right? John Fisk joining us?
Jess,
Heidi.
Marlo, and Heidi.
And she's on?
And Heidi.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Mitchell,
Here.
Vice Mayor Santin,
Here.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Here.
Councilman Fahet,
Here.
Councilman Vasquez.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. All rise, please, for an invocation by Councilman Vasquez.
Heavenly Father, we gather here in your presence to ask that you provide us with the wisdom and peace needed as we conduct the business of our beloved city. Lord, nourish us with your guidance so that we may act in a thoughtful manner, with an open mind and a sense of fairness for all as we deliberate a host of ideas in the name of the residents of Miami Spring. Guide us, dear God, to have the courage and determination to do right by all. In addition, dear God, I have a personal prayer and request. Today, we lay to rest in her permanent home the remains of Carla Martinez Bustamante. Carla's was and will always be a very special friend to our daughter, Sofia, and she was like our own daughter. Though she only lived 23 years among us, Lord, she brought her family and friends enormous joy and love. A resident of Miami Springs, only last year she received her confirmation at Blessed Trinity Catholic Church, cementing her love for you. We do not pretend to understand the mysteries of death, but we ask you to receive her soul in your bosom and to console her family and friends. Finally, Lord, we turn to you in those moments in which our hearts ache for you to remind us of the wonderful memories we each have of Carla inside of us. We ask all of this in your name and we say, amen.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, welcome everyone to our April 24th meeting. Nice to see everyone here and to everyone that's joining us virtually. We're going to start with the awards and presentations. And our first is a very special administration of the oath of office to our newly elected and incumbent Councilwoman Jackie Bravo. Thank you so much. I'm excited to.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so our next is, we're going to defer the presentation by the report from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Chief. And our next presentation will be from two ladies that have become very dear friends of our city, Beverly Raposa and Mercy Ruiz, regarding the Eastern Flight 401 Memorial.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're finally here.
You're here.
I know a couple of times it was a little difficult, but we're here now. And we came because December 29th of 2022 was such a special day. And the city of Miami Springs, you know, when I was here just about a year ago, I think, to get the permission to put it. It's so special to us because it's now the home for our memorial. Our people are home. And every time we come by there, and I've been here when I've seen other people, you know, coming by and also looking at it. So it's very, very special to us. We wanted to come down to say thank you, but there are a couple of things. We just got a new directory, our book from these are our silver liners. These are former flight attendants and also some active ones. There's about 800 of them, and they represent over 80 airlines. And part of the book is on the Eastern 401 Memorial. And we were asked, Mercy Ruiz and I, we were both surviving flight attendants, 401. This is my buddy that I spent those nights at about 3.5 hours together out the Everglades.
Oh, my God.
And I'm not letting you go. So we were asked, first of all, to write something as our feelings about it. And I wanted to read in Mercy what we put about the city of Miami Springs, because you are so, so very important to us. And I wrote, may I also say that the support and love of the city of Miami Springs, from Mayor Mitchell and the city council down through city manager Alonso and his incredible team, made the day possible to know that the location is perfect and that long after I'm gone, the memorial will be well taken care of and their memory will live on. December 29, 2022 was a day that brought me peace and happiness, finally.
Hmm.
And Mercy, I want you to read. Okay. Reading.
I added, let's see, I wish to add that we are forever grateful to the city of Miami Springs that not only facilitated the land, place our memorial, but they provided for the ceremony, the tent, and chairs for each guest's comfort. Also, a wonderful white and blue covered marine cake, delicious snacks, and fresh flowers, all courtesy of the city. Last but not least, the presence of some of the members of the council imparted a special touch to the ceremony. Thank you to all of the members that voted in our favor, making it possible after 50 years in order to honor the victims. None of it would have been possible without their empathy and support. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Two things that we want to present. Number one, this is a frame of that, with some pictures that were taken of that day, of the ribbons that were given out to family members, of the memorial with myself, Ron, and Mercy. And Ron Infantino couldn't be here with us today, but he says to say hello and sends his regards. And he's here in spirit with us. The names of all of the folks that did not survive, our fellow passengers and crew members. And on the back, we have just a little bit from each one of you.
Sweet.
So, Mercy, we want to present this to you, Mayor Mitchell, from us.
Aw.
Thank you. We'll come out here and so we can take a
Thank
photo.
you. You're gonna come
All of us, yes?
Okay. All
We
right,
come to you.
thank you. You want us to step down or?
No, stay right there.
Oh, this is going to be a beautiful picture.
Come on in with us.
Both you ladies in the center.
All right. There we go. Take these off. 1, 2.
So much.
So thank you so very much to each and every one of you. You made it possible.
You made it possible, you and your team.
Not
And it
without
was
you.
years and years of the Springs is the perfect home for this memorial, and we will always treasure it. It's a legacy that will last forever. So thank you so
Thank you,
much.
thank you, thank you. From the bottom of our hearts.
I'm so impressed by these ladies, their hard work and making things, when they decide they're going to do something, it doesn't matter how many years, it happens. And you said, I remember Beverly, you saying for December 29th,
Right.
it will be, and it did, it was perfect,
Yeah,
I was there.
I said, Mayor, when I came,
Pandemic.
that's right, when I came to do it, I said, that's it. I said, I get the permission, December 29th, 50th anniversary, and nothing was gonna stop.
She said, God, get born, I'm gonna tell you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we also have for each one of you,
Thank you.
we want to give each one of you one of our ribbons.
Oh, yes, because I
Our
was,
special
I was
ribbons
not
that
able
we
to
got
be
for
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all. Put one here and I'm gonna put one for.
Okay, you're passing those out. Good.
We will
Yeah.
find a special place in City Hall for this.
Yeah, you want
Good.
one of the- And Tammy over there, and Claudia, did you get one?
I was wondering about that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, everyone has
I
one.
have one, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Beverly. We hope to see you in Miami Springs a lot.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes. No.
So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from the bottom of my hearts. Miami Springs, City of Miami Springs is in my heart, each and all of you. It will always be home. You'll see me down here. I live a little to the north, but you will be seeing me. So thank you so very much. Thank you.
Councilman Vasquez.
As we were standing there, it reminded me two things. One is, before I was a member of council, my son Victor and I happened to be here the night you made the presentation. And he was a scout at the time. He was working on a civic participation merit badge. And he interviewed William, and then he also had to sit in on a meeting and do a report to earn that merit badge. And he's very impacted by this. And I think that, these things sometimes can take a long time. And the other thing I thought about was I worked at Temple University and I studied there for many years in Philadelphia. And their theme is Perseverancia Vince, perseverance triumphs. You are the embodiment of the triumph of perseverance. Thank you so much. And we're honored that you chose us and that you were able to do this in record time and in memory of those who are no longer with us. And so I'm a little emotional tonight, but my sentiment is there with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And Bill Daly.
Mayor, yeah, if I may, just since they're here tonight, just to let the council know, as a proud member of the Miami Springs Lions Club, we hatched the idea about a month and a half ago of, you know how we do the benches. We did a bench at the Temple Yard. We will do sometime in the next month or so. We're going to do a bench dedicated to the victims of Flight 401 there and put it right in front of the memorial so people can come and sit on this bench while they pay tribute to the memorial. So they will, our ladies, that's why I came to see the ladies tonight. They'll be back down here when we do the presentation for the memorial of the Lions Club. So I just want to let everybody know that we have that in the works.
It's wonderful.
Thank you, Bill. And
Finishing touch.
thank you to the Lions Club. Again, like I always say, our civic clubs are the best in the nation. No, they are the best in the nation. They are the hardest working, just constantly thinking up various ways. I don't know how you juggle so many balls at one time, but they all do. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
to say that maybe those 101 souls that perished probably thought we've been forgotten. And we haven't mentioned them as far as they're all happy because, and they thank you too. They
Amen.
really do,
Amen.
because now they have a place.
And especially they have a home in our city that was founded as an aviation city. So it's very, very meaningful for all of us.
And Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
to what Bill Daly was saying, we're starting a project very soon over there where there's going to be some walking paths and ADA access. We're going to have crosswalks with ADA access for disabled people to be able to access the memorial site. And that's going to happen in the next few weeks.
Very shortly.
So that will be part of the bench.
Nice.
Yes.
Wonderful. And that's right by our Miami Springs sign. So it's a perfect location for all these exciting things.
It's perfect. And all I can say is like when I came here the first time to get permission, wow. I can't believe all of this. Thank you. Thank you, William. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell
Well-
and everyone. Thank you.
I think this project is just a testament to, something I keep saying is so many things happen because of residents and community members. It's, yes, obviously government and elected officials and all can move things forward, but so many ideas, so many things are just really based on people in our community that are determined to make something happen with very good intentions. And despite the obstacles, no matter how many years it happens. And one thing that I wanted to say with Beverly and I think with Beverly and Mercy and all of your team is from the big day one, when you presented this idea to the city, your smiles, your enthusiasm, it's always been a happy project. It's never been, about sadness, even though I know that there's a lot of sadness involved, but it's always been a happy tribute, a wonderful way to provide a memory of, the people that were on that flight and of that incident and of how much even that incident contributed to aviation safety, to making the skies safer for all of us down the road, which, is really something we all benefit from. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next recognition that we have is for Carlos Gomez. Carlos here, hi. Come on forward. Okay, Mr. Gomez and his friends is the one responsible for the lighting of the bridge during the River Cities Festival. And I can tell you the comments that we've gotten from so many people, it's just art and reality. It's amazing. You said you were going to do this. What I want to stress is that Mr. Gomez is the one, he asked the city, and William, you correct me if I'm wrong, if you could do this. And we said there's a lot of permits and stuff because it's, the bridge belongs to the county. It's South Florida Water Management District, that, that body of water. There's all these other agencies that would have to authorize it. And you pursued every single one and you got authorization from, I don't know how many.
Right.
Just getting the permits and the authority to do it, and you made it happen. So, and it's beautiful. It was just beautiful.
Perfect. So I think I've copied you guys on the emails. So the county is willing to do this on a permanent basis. Of course, they've asked a couple, typical requirements. You got to meet the safety requirements, the wind strength and the integrity of the bridge. But of course, they don't want to do anything until after the conditioning of the bridge, which they say it's a couple of months, but I don't know what a couple of months means.
For the county.
It could be a little longer, but anyhow, I'm gonna, with your blessing, I'm gonna continue to pursue this with them. And as far as I'm concerned, one way or another, we're gonna light it up permanently.
That's wonderful. I know the comments I've gotten from residents, and I think all of us have, is they want it ongoing, a permanent
Okay, perfect.
installation.
And
So
I'll be working to do both bridges is my goal. And I do want to make one other comment, and that is, I love my city. I do what I do because I'm proud of my city. The fact that a citizen like myself is able to come out and be a little creative and be willing to put a little effort and energy, that in itself is a compliment to you guys. It's the fact that I can pick up the phone and call and talk to people.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But I do want to say, I don't expect to be here all the time. Meaning I'm going to come up with, I got a lot of other little things in the back of my mind that we're going to follow up on. And a simple thank you is all I ever need.
Through
The
the
best
chair.
cover.
thank you. Well, I want to say a thank you for something else, because Mr. Gomez and his friends are the ones that also are responsible for, how many years is it now? 3 years?
3 years.
3 years, the display of the American flags on Curtis Parkway, that stunning display that runs for months with the states and the flags. And that's such an inspirational display. Whenever you go, it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it. I know whenever I go down Curtis Parkway and those flags are there, it just leaves me breathless. So again, the creativity of our residents, but it's not just the creativity and thinking of the ideas, it's doing the work that needs to be done. Thank you. That's
Very welcome.
all we can say. So we have a certificate of appreciation for you for this, and let's go take a
Go ahead.
photo.
Go ahead.
of all of these. Where do you get your ideas? In the middle of the night or?
Happy hour.
Don't ask the questions.
Yes.
And I'm walking, I just start thinking. And I just start going, oh, wow. Before I come home, bounce it on Joseph, stuff, yeah, crazy.
But you help him anyway. All right. It's crazy, but I'll help you. 1, 2. 1, 2. Sandy, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's very good. Okay, see you again. Okay. Thank you. See you again. We have to see that. We'll see you.
Okay, so,
Through the chair, can I?
yes, sir.
Quick comment. Carlos, and group and your friends, first of all, congratulations. Thank you. Don't worry about coming here. Esta es su casa. This is the house of the residents of Miami Springs, so you're welcome every and any time. My wife is gonna be delighted when I go home tonight because she's been chewing on my ear for about 2 years about the bridge and lighting on the bridge. And now I can say, hey, we got some crazy people doing some really great things. You want to join them? I think that's a terrific idea. I love the pictures. I love the, it's the image. And so all I can think is, my wife thanks you, my family thanks you. And you're coming up with the ideas, man.
Can't wait to see what's next.
Mayor, I also just wanted to chime in because I think it ties into what we talked about before with respect to the memorial that Gogo, as he's fondly known as, is just the epitome of determination. He called me and said like, hey, what do you think about this? Right. And I dug a little deeper. I was like, wow, it seems like I think we should all have the kind of determination that he has. He's just undaunted. When he has an idea, he goes for it and accomplishes it. And I think it's something that we could all learn from because he makes our city better because he's determined to. And thank you, Carlos.
And I want to just encourage other residents, if you've got ideas out there that you've been thinking, or why shouldn't, or why wouldn't, and all this, go a little further. You've got to be willing to do the work to get it done. But we're extremely receptive to ideas from our residents. You're the ones that love our city as much as we do, and all of us together are, our creativity, all of us together is what makes our city such an exciting place. And also, like Beverly said, it's small enough that, you can reach us and we could discuss it and we'll figure it out and we'll work with you as much as possible. So thank you again. And I want to encourage other residents. You've got ideas, get involved. That's right. As Councilman Fahad just said. Okay. We go to open forum. We don't have anyone registered and we don't have anyone online. Okay. So let's go to approval of the council minutes for the April 10th, a special meeting, and the April 10th regular meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Call a vote, please.
Vice Mayor Santin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahad,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. We'll go to reports from boards and commissions, and we have the Chair of the Recreation Commission, Fred Gonzalez, here. Welcome.
Mayor, Council, see some new faces here, some familiar ones. Just wanted to give you a quick update on the Recreation Commission. We've been meeting each month now. I think the last time we met, we talked about trying to increase the number of times we're meeting, and we've had more feedback and public comment with visitors, and we finalized our survey, which we for parks, and we released it the Friday of the River Cities Festival. And in just 10 days, we've had over 100 responses. So we're pretty excited so far. The survey touches everything from our bike and walking paths to our golf course and tennis and racquetball court questions. It asks for ratings, what we could improve. It looks for feedback. So I'm looking forward to reporting and sharing the results with you prior to your budget meetings so we can provide some guidance, suggestions, and ideas moving forward. In addition, if I may put in a shameless plug, this June and July, Prince Field will be the site of 8 Little League district and sectional championships in baseball and softball. This will be the most championship events we've ever hosted in Miami Springs. And not only will all the games be streamed live on our new field cameras that we were able to raise money and install this season, but it will provide an opportunity not only for our parents and families, but for our residents to come out and support these young athletes, these boys and girls, and for our businesses to benefit. A lot of teams coming in from out of town, from out of the county, going to be hungry like around 9 o'clock on some nights. So once we lock in the dates, I hope we can get the city to support and share the dates through social and maybe see some of you all there on some of those nights. But otherwise, that's my update. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Fred.
That was great. Fred, I wanted to personally thank you. I think ever since you've been on the Recreation Commission, we've seen just a lot of activity from your board, a lot of, I guess, collaboration, meetings, a lot of ideas, and just you've been great.
Thank you
You
very much.
and your board that you have right now, the work that you've been putting out is very impressive, and we greatly appreciate it. It benefits all of us so much.
Thank you.
You've done a lot done. Good job.
Yes, yes. And I wanted to ask if we have a quick moment with the council's permission, because I see Omar there, just to not make you wait till the end of the meeting. I did have a discussion request, and it's kind of brief on parks, future parks. It does tie into the budget. So if the council is in agreement, I'll move that up right now, and that way it just ties in with Fred's report.
Sure.
Omar, you want to come forward? I have it was, what I'm moving forward is
12B.
12B, which is a request to discuss opportunities for new parks. And I had reached out to Omar. It's something that we've been discussing for a few months on and off about new parks and new recreation opportunities throughout the city. We're obviously only 3 square miles, but we've got all these little pockets of areas. And I think the latest one was Reagan Park, what's been done there, and bringing, just the whole east side of Miami Springs, that we've managed to create a really attractive, nice place for the residents there, and for residents from other areas to walk there. A lot of our residents like the opportunity, the reason to walk to another area of the city and visit something else. So one of the things that I've been asking Omar about is that park by Rio, is it
Rio Vista Park.
Rio Vista, and it's just there. And it's pretty large, and it seems like it's got a lot of opportunities. I had said, can we put up a volleyball net that would be volleyball and badminton, just without even lighting or something? And I just asked him to look. So Fred, while you were here, I just wanted you to know, and to bring that back to the Recreation Commission, that perhaps you can work with Omar. And I think the other park that we've discussed is in front of the library.
Right.
So Omar, if you can just kind of,
Sure.
but I wanted to make sure that the Recreation Commission knows that that's something that
Yeah, so we actually, a lot of the discussion we have with the Recreation Board is actually come to at least almost 80% of the meetings, I guess, unless I have something to do. But we have a lot of dialogue in reference to our open spaces that we have within the city to build out. One of them is Rio Vista. To be honest with you, I think Rio Vista has been in discussion since Jim Borgman was here, in reference to even doing a skate park and a bunch of other things that we have talked about there with Ron Gordon and William. That's goes way back. So in Reagan was one of those sites. And now we finally were able to get Reagan into a small passive park, which has turned out great. It's servicing the purpose of what we thought it would, which is a small playground for children between the ages of 2 and 5. It has an open little small green space where I've seen like a father throw a football with a child maybe 8 or 9 years old, and the mom's with the little one inside the playground. We have a small Chigi hut there, which is actually really nice during the daytime. I see people there sometimes with their iPads and stuff like that, or a laptop. So we're trying to create other spaces. A lot of our parks are sports oriented, because we're so limited with green space that the focus is the children in the community, whether it's soccer, baseball, other sports and like that. So we're running into issues now where we want to build out other parks like Rio Vista. So Rio Vista has been something that's been on my mind for a while. I was actually going to propose in this year's budget to ask for some funding to build out that park, or at least get a design criteria from an engineer and architect to do something there. So my thought process was to make it a walkable passive park. And in nature, what that is basically an area where residents could walk to. It would have some parking spaces, but you don't want to add too many amenities. When you have a lot of amenities, you need more parking spaces. So we're talking about a place where you could ride a bike. You live in that area, you could ride a bike, you could rollerblade there, you can walk there. Walkable benches, a lot of landscaping, maybe a butterfly garden, something like that. Wi-Fi connectivity, an area where you can just go read a book, things like that. And then we spoke about having volleyball courts, which is another option that's very viable. But we wanted a park where, you know, sunrise to sunset, nothing at night. There are residents right in that area. There's right on top of the street. But we also don't want where we have, like right now at PV Dove, there's a lot of high school kids that go to the park and hang out. So we wanted something where the high school kids, unfortunately, wouldn't be invited to that area as much as possible. But yeah, that's kind of what I thought, my thought process was. There's some parks in Coral Gables that are similar to that, which are very nice. There's one in Doral that's also very similar to like a passive park where you could walk from your condos or whatever. So that's kind of the thought process with that. Washington Park, we recently actually Public Works did a great job of actually cleaning it up a little bit. And I have a new sign that I'm going to put there for the small one that's about this big. So now I got one like that big. So you guys will probably see it when you go down westward. So we're hoping to make that a little bit more beautiful, probably add some new benches, some new picnic tables, make that park more inviting. So people that actually are in the library that maybe want to read a book on a beautiful day, like we've had some recently, then go outside and read a book. So it's creating what we call passive park space. The city has a lot of connectivity also with linear parks, but we don't take advantage of it. What do I mean by that? So yes, on Westward, we have a beautiful bike path, right? And then it connects to Ludlam. But on Ludlam, there's nothing there that tells you if you ride to here from this point, it's 3 to 4 miles. There's nothing there's no verbiage. So that if we were to expand on that and build those things, we have then we call linear park, okay, which could actually go from Ludlam all the way down westward, Curtis Parkway. There's a lot of things that we could use connectivity, even on the golf course, the path that goes around the mansion. That's all park linear park space that our residents take advantage of it. But as a system, as a park system, we're not taking advantage of it. So those are things that I want to add to eventually to our park system. One of the things that, well, I was going there. One of the things that I think when I first started here almost 13 years ago, Jim Borgman presented to me a plan that he sold me on to start here. And obviously the community center was about 4 months out before we broke ground. I mean, we did the ribbon cutting. So it was already basically done. But he was like, we're going to get a new pool. We're going to get a new senior center. All the playgrounds have been redone. So, and then Ron and William, you know, we all kept on chipping away at the projects that we had in mind. So one of the things that I was discussing with William was having a park master plan. Okay, now that costs a little bit of money in the budget process. One of the things I was going to request, but we need to start building a strategic master plan so we can start moving forward with a lot of our parks. Like for example, you guys might not know because it's time flies, but the community center is already going to be 14, 15 years old. Okay, that means in another 15 years, we might have to consider either remodeling it completely, or like Coral Gables just did, they were going to knock theirs down and build a new one. Right. So we have to start planning for these things, because before you know it, it'll be 15 years from now. And we're going to be like, okay, we got to do something here. We have no money in the budget. We have no plan. There's nothing for us to do. So the strategic plan offers a vision, you can say, of where we're going to go with this stuff. Right. And also gives us an opportunity to kind of like budget wise what we have to do every year to set money aside so we can get these projects done. One of the things I thought about that's beginning to, like, I guess, become a problem for us in the community is a tennis facility. It's old. Okay. The pro shop is destroyed. Public Works is there every day, more or less. Okay. The bathrooms are antiquated. It needs a full renovation. Now, we've never really taken the next step with the tennis facility because there's always been discussion of maybe moving it to the golf course, maybe not. There's a bunch of things, but we need to make a hard decision on what we want to do there eventually. It's in pretty bad shape. And our facilities are beginning to look, the senior center is brand new, community center is relatively new, and the tennis facility is kind of losing its touch a little bit. Manny's done an amazing job there, keeping that place afloat, putting a Band-Aid on a million things. Public Works, I'll be honest with you, they do an amazing job, not because they're here, but whenever I call them, whether it's the restrooms, fence, whatever, they figure it out, they put it together, and we've held that place together for the 13, 14 years I'm here. But it's getting to a point that we need to address that one way or the other. But I do think that I think our park system is really good, okay, in comparison to other cities. That's from you guys providing an enormous amount of support. Our fields look really good. I mean, Fred will tell you that he's played in other cities that have beautiful black big fence and screens and everything, but their fields are terrible. And at the end of the day, my focal point has always been where the kids play is going to be my focus. So I've really put all my money into that. And with your guys' support, we're able to do that. But I do think that there is opportunity for more. Okay. And I think, Ludlam is huge. We could put a small park at the end of it by the railroad tracks. We could do Rio Vista. We could renovate Washington Park. But at the end of the day, the most important thing for all of this is what? Funding. Funding is the most important thing. And even though we kind of did Reagan Park, like kind of on our own with the help of Public Works, making sure the drainage is going to be fine. Myself, we went out there, make sure it worked. But some of these parks, we won't be able to do that. We need a professional person to come in there and look at the grounds and drainage, landscaping, and electrical things like that. So there's only so much I can do from that perspective. But the reality is that we can do things, but the funding is the most important part.
And we'll have to discuss that, now that the budget is coming up, but I wanted everyone to kind of, have these thoughts in mind. And also, since Fred's here, that as far as recreation, I feel very strongly with any opportunity that we have to add recreation and a different form of, recreation opportunity. So Fred, I wanted you to know about it so you could bring it back to your board and discuss with all of these possibilities that Omar's talking about. And I know, Omar, you mentioned you don't want to create a place where high school kids hang out, but if there's a recreation opportunity there, I also think high school kids do a pickup game or they throw the ball or, even volleyball, that all you need is a volleyball or badminton. And so what I'm saying is it's also great for them to have the opportunity of something there. So I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I wanted to add, we work closely with Omar at the Recreation Commission meetings when he's able to attend, which is, like you said, more than 80% of the time. And we did talk a lot about Rio Vista Park. We felt like the survey was a way to quickly get information from our residents towards that master plan, towards the budget, towards what is really important to them. And of the folks that came to the public forum or to speak, we had parents asking us, our kids are getting older, they need things to do. We want them to have outdoor basketball courts. We want them to be able to participate once they grow too old for certain sports or just have pickup or, bike opportunities when they're, just a lot of stuff to not forget about them. So I do think that's a huge, we're working together. And I think that survey is going to be a huge reason and to really help us create, a roadmap. And in terms of his comment on us traveling and playing in a lot of places where the fields and the parks are beautiful, they are, but every time I tell our coaches, but they don't have scoreboards here and they don't have live stream cameras. So they all laugh, but they're like, yeah, it's true. So we do have a great park system. We just have to, shine it up a little bit.
Wonderful.
Mayor?
And just for the record, 1 second, could you let us know, Fred, the survey for the residents that are listening that haven't heard about the survey, where they can get their hands on the recreation board survey that you have open?
Yes,
right
I think we've shared it on social media for the city, and we'll share it again. And I think we'll get parks to, but basically it's on Instagram. And then from there you can click on the link to go answer.
So from our
questions.
city
Yeah,
website.
City website, and then
Social media.
it'll be up through June,
Okay.
most of June. Yeah.
Okay, and I want to encourage any residents, if you don't feel that you can find it social media or you don't have technology or something, just stop by City Hall. Somebody in City Hall can help you get a hold of the survey. They'll print it out for you and you can, submit it there and it'll get to the right hands.
It's via a QR code.
Okay,
So you hold your phone up to the QR code and
okay.
it.
We can
it's
also
you
share a
print.
link, and we look to post it on different social sites so that nobody can say they didn't find it.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yes, sir.
Mayor, something related, but I think important when it comes to Rio Vista, it's my understanding that that enormous dead petrified tree that's on the swale is too big for us. And it's something that the county has to remove, right? Is that the case, William? That's a county. Maybe we can get Carlos Gomez on it. He can get anything done.
Next
I just,
Yes, go on.
it's a huge dead petrified tree with no branches. It's just there. It's kind of an eyesore. And I think anything we do at Rio Vista, that would be kind of the first thing. I just wonder what we can do to kind of nudge the county and to,
We need
to taking
to,
care of that.
I can tell you this past, I guess, I don't know how long time flies so quickly, but sometime in 2022, William and I reached out to the county and the school board because of the Australian pines that are on right by the high school, which everywhere else, those Australian pines have been removed. They're serious hazards during a hurricane. They can fall, they'll block the road, they'll block the canal and, and impede the drainage. So we had asked to find out whether it was the high school, and we went through the school board. A member at the time, Christy Fraga, and the Public Works Director. Turns out they belong to the county because it's on county swale. And the Public Works Director told us he's got it on the list to remove them. We have to include these, we need to remember, but that they have no funding for it. Each tree, because of its massive size, is, I forget how many thousands and thousands of dollars too. So it's a few $100,000 to remove them. But let's, William, if we could follow up on that request that we did last year, see if they've got the funding and include,
yeah, the one on Rio
Fun,
Vista is
yes.
like an enormous hat rack.
yes,
It's,
yes.
dead.
It's kind of attractive in a way.
I think so.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
it's
All
kind of,
right.
strange. It's the
Through
only,
the chair,
yes, ma'am.
question, Omar. Would you think if we would repurpose the tennis courts, should they move to the Miami Springs Country Club, that would be a good area for outdoor volleyball?
So one of the things we discussed actually in the board was if we were to move the tennis, pickleball, racquetball operation to the golf course, right? Then we have another green space, correct? Which, yes, we talked about potentially adding a basketball court there. We talked about having volleyball there. We talked about having maybe a pavilion. We had different ideas and we discussed it. But yes, that space actually is pretty decent. I mean, right now we have 5 tennis courts and
Two
2
racquetballs.
racquetball courts. So if designed correctly, yes, that's one of the areas that we discussed. Plus, as we already know there's electrical there because we have lights.
Yeah.
So one of the things we did discuss was that specific thing, having then that become another space that we can have more amenities for recreation, things like that. Yes.
Okay, perfect. It's kind of ideal because it's kind of like you could do it in a staggered way. I know their sand volleyball courts are all like kind of like staggered.
Correct.
Like, so
Yeah, they
that's
kind
the
of do
first
them
thing that came to
uneven
mind.
so the balls don't interfere with the court. That's what they do.
Okay, good.
Through the
You
chair.
know, a few weeks ago, I was at the tennis courts and there were 4 young men playing racquetball. And when they went to leave, young men, I'm saying young, in their 30s. When they went to leave, I was talking to them and they go, oh yeah, we play here all the time. And I go, what do you think about the conditions? He goes, look, it's the only place we have to play. We love racquetball. We're going to play. But, they said, we would love to see new racquetball courts.
Yes.
And from what they told me, and I've heard this from other residents, I know from playing tennis, unless the courts are good, you don't play, so you would play if the courts were better. And I think those are all things that we need to, in the master
Correct.
park plan is, consider that. We'll probably have to have a workshop on that to
Yeah, through the chair.
Councilman.
A couple of points. So one, as a former high schooler from the last century, I recall that That's Joe, come on. The only one that got it was the same guy that's my age, right?
I got it. I just don't want to.
No, you
but
didn't
I
want to
did-
laugh at my
Yeah,
face.
but I did get it.
But anyway, my father became a baseball manager kicking and screaming because we were 14-year-old and 15-year-olds and he wanted us to be recogidos, as he used to say, and that's how I became a basketball coach at the age of 15. So, coming from a city like New York that has so many recreational facilities,
A lot.
asphalt basketball courts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there was plenty of places and all the schools were open at night with that gyms and so forth. So I'm partial to the idea of creating some spaces that would invite, more high school age kids to hang out in a constructive way. A basketball court, I think, and courts is a great way to have that and to have even pickup games and little intramural kinds of things. So I think that's a great idea. I do agree with you, Omar. We need some strategic thinking around all of these. You can only have so many ideas of space, and we are limited in our space in terms of what we have available. But I applaud the thinking. The second thing was last night I drove. I was telling William this. Usually when my wife and I, or I'm driving from Lejeune coming north, I make the left on 36. She and my daughters love to make the first right turn. I go down to Lee Street. So, but last night they made the right turn, and then I saw the drums out on South Royal Poinciana, and clearly establishing the new traffic patterns and so forth that are to come. And as you mentioned, Reagan Park and drainage and all the other things, it seems to me that that's now a new opportunity. We're changing the traffic pattern. We're also going to change, we're going to have some running and bicycling and so forth.
Right.
And even all those residents that live in all those rentals or own homes, I think this may have a different impact now on that park that is going to be a little more accessible, and you're not trying to cross 4 lanes to get to the other side, and so forth. So, I'd like to hear a little bit more of your thoughts on that at some point, of how that's going to be impacted and what you would need from us
Well, we'll
to
probably
come.
do a
Yeah, no,
workshop
but I'm
on
just putting it as here, not to
discussing,
discuss it tonight. Yes.
Through the chair, one last thing, and Omar, I'll let you go. Do you think it'd be possible to entertain the idea, maybe reach out to our school board chair, Dan Espino, to see if we can work out something that's temporary with the elementary schools, their basketball courts, or even the high school, to see if we can get some sort of temporary relief there until we get situated. Maybe they may be willing to help us out. They know that we have something going on, but in the meantime, just to get the kids out there.
I
If you,
think it might be more possible nowadays than in the past. If you guys haven't met the principal at the high school, he's absolutely awesome and always willing to help and very open. In years past, I did ask about inquiring about having them leave the gate open so kids can play basketball at on the courts outside, and they didn't like that idea too much.
or
But
maybe
again,
something
we could
can-
ask again.
Like we'll control the open access and close. I mean, that's something we're gonna have to be,
I'll ask.
Good
I could tell you when I first initially tried that, since it's their property, they really didn't. They weren't too trustworthy for whatever reason of allowing somebody else to have to close and open their.
It's a liability issue.
Yeah,
Mayor-
you got
Mayor
touchy.
And council, good evening. Hi.
Hi,
The
Heidi.
the voice from afar. First of all, thank you for your indulgence as I continue to feel ill. I've been sick for the last week now. And I'm going to try to make it through saying what I'm going to say without coughing. I think to Councilwoman Bravo's point, we should look, Omar, at any joint use agreements that we have for school board facilities. And if we need to update those or renegotiate some of those, it might be worthwhile to do so, especially with Mr. Espino's assistance, since he is local. So that might be an opportunity to look at those things and get some more access in a way that perhaps is much more formalized.
I can tell you, I think it's a great idea. And I know in the 80s and 90s, the school yards were considered public parks and they were left open
Correct.
for the communities to use after hours. So they always had the chain, the chain link fence around it, but the openings,
Correct.
right, were left unlocked and they were required to be. Something happened sometime, I guess, in the late 1990s. I don't know what, when the school board switched over and said, I don't know if for liability reasons or, problems that were going on. And they declared that they would all be closed, required that they all be chain locked.
It's
So
become a
that they couldn't be
liability issue.
used. Yes.
I know the high school
But-
used to leave the field open on the
Yes,
weekends.
it was.
And they started shutting it down because
The
people
liability.
would get hurt playing soccer or flag football.
Right.
And they would sue the school
Yeah.
because supposedly there was a hole on the field.
Right.
So then, and they were getting these all the time, like it was constantly. So then the school board was like,
And
No way.
people were walking their dogs, taking their dogs into the field after hours and letting them run loose. And then, kids were playing. And so it just became, but that was years ago.
correct.
I think it's a great
No,
idea.
The
to
team that's there
revisit it.
now might be a little bit more open to that type of stuff. So I'll ask for sure. That's not a
Okay.
problem.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you.
Omar. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Fred,
guys.
so much.
Mayor,
Thank-
if I may, so that Omar can,
Bring up
there's another item that Omar has, which is the fireworks.
10A. Sure.
10A, I don't know if you want to
Oh,
do,
yes, yes.
I don't know if you want to,
Better
Let's go ahead
Yeah.
and do that.
That way. And Fred, please thank the Recreation Board on
Thank
behalf of
you.
us for, you guys
Don't
are,
leave,
have
Omar.
really stepped up.
No.
Are we-
I'm back.
Yes.
You are.
Okay, so the 4th of July firework display, I did meet with the school, okay, met with the principal, and he was very open to the suggestion that we had. We went out to the site. I discussed with him where we were potentially going to put it at, give him a site plan of just, where we would put it at, 420 feet, discuss the radius, the space and everything. So he was okay with it. Obviously it has to go up, the board and chain of command, et cetera. So we're supposed to, depending on tonight's decision, potentially get on the May 17th board agenda, the school board agenda. So I would have to make a site plan, show them what we're going to provide, police officers, things of this nature, et cetera, et cetera. Our deadline for the fireworks, if we were to cancel, was May 1st. I was able to get an extension till May 20th. Okay. Allison from Firepowers, awesome. We've been doing fireworks for them for almost 20 years. So she understood our situation. So she was able to give me an extension onto the 20th. The city administration, the recreation department and the police, we've done a couple meetings to figure out how we can make this happen. There are several challenges. Okay. Right now, the fireworks being shot is the least of our worries. We're talking about parking, securing the site. How can we safely park cars if we have to, where kids are not running around where they can get hit by a vehicle? Are we closing streets from as far as Lenape and maybe Oriole, things like that, so people can park and then they walk to these sites, so we don't allow people to park there? There's a lot that goes into this, okay? 4th of July, manpower can be a little tight, staffing could be a little tight. So I don't want to speak on behalf of the police department, but there are some issues that we're running into besides the fireworks. So we wanted to come to you guys, tell you what's going on, and then you guys will discuss it, I guess, and give us a decision. But keep getting more stuff.
From the police perspective, we have two major issues here. Let's not talk about the fireworks display in that area just yet. First issue is the golf course. It's
Securing.
going to be right in the middle of the sodding and all the particulars that have to take place. And on the agenda tonight is a resolution that you're going to consider, which is a $3.8 million, almost $4 million investment there. people start lining up their cars around the golf course for the fireworks display very early in the morning. So just for us to staff the golf course, to protect the golf course, it's going to take 14 officers. Budget wise, that's about $14,000. The issue, 4th of July, we have officers that are on a pre-approved vacation, officers that are off, that have made plans with their family. If we do both events, that roughly 80% of the department. And I can't guarantee bringing all those folks in, people that have worked midnights that I have to bring them in the middle of the day, canceling of days off. If this were a hurricane, emergency mobilization, I could see that. But I think from a staffing perspective, it's going to be a logistical nightmare, and I cannot guarantee staffing both events. So from a safety perspective, that's my position there.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Omar. That was part of my concern. I mean, once, if we get to the point where we've got, because I think there's also that this is the issue, right? Is that it's like a multifaceted thing. You gotta protect the golf course at the same time that you're doing this event. I also the cost. I know that the fireworks for this year is $20,000, so it's more expensive than it's been in the past. So just the sheer cost and everything, I would want if and when we have a final plan of how the police could protect the golf course, how the police and Public Works in the city could make, if we get all the approvals and if we have a plan, and then considering the cost, because there is no doubt going to be an additional cost to this. Once there would be a plan like that, then I would want everybody in the city to kind of like mull it over before we make a decision. But I just think there's a lot. And listen, and if people want it, I'll be the first one there enjoying the fireworks. Because I like the fireworks. But I think that it's still the same concerns that I had before, is that the cost and the logistics. You know, when we were talking about it before, about like, well, you know, we could talk to water and sewer, and we could talk to the school board, and we can get officers, we could pay for officers from other departments. And we're talking about a multi-agency response, which again, if it were in response to an earthquake, right, like I would get it, but this is something that we need to consider.
If I may add, you're talking about other agencies. Obviously, the first one that I always think of is Medley.
Sure.
They just annexed an area, so now they're having to deploy more resources into another area, which is going to limit the ability of them providing officers for us for this event. Virginia Gardens is very small.
Yeah.
Who else would we go to? You have other events in other cities. Coral Gables has events. City of Miami.
Yeah,
has
everybody's
events.
going to be doing stuff that day.
So, and on top of the expense of the fireworks itself, there is an overtime expense for the police. And we're talking about almost $20,000 in overtime expense there. That's not something we actually budgeted for.
And that's assuming you can get the.
Assuming,
staff.
and I have to emphasize, I cannot guarantee staffing this.
Through the chair,
Yes.
just for the record, Chief, you said the 2 events. I just want to put it out there, so because some people forget, we're talking about the parade during the day.
Well, forgive me for interrupting you. You have the parade. On top of that, we have to protect the golf course.
Mhm.
And then if the
There's-
fireworks does happen, now we have to try to staff that.
So there's 3 areas that we would have to protect.
And
You
as
would
I
have
said, that's
14
about 80% of the department would be, what we're calculating, we would have to use 80% of the department.
And that other 20%, obviously it's personal time off, and I'm not going to touch that. I mean, that's their time off.
Well, I don't have that 80%. We do have to bring in people that are off. We'd have to bring people that worked the night before.
And these are on
we still have to,
rotations.
I'm sorry?
They're on rotations. It's not like it's going to be the same officers for each area.
Well, some of these events are extended. You know, you have, for example, we have to start staffing the golf course to protect the golf course very early in the morning, way before the parade begins. And they're going to be there for usually after the parade, people hang out, anticipating the fireworks. So they're after dark. So if it does not happen, I would recommend strongly that we start putting it out there as of now, because just like in Halloween, majority of the people that come to the Springs to see the fireworks are not residents. Residents, in some areas of the city can sit in their backyards or in their front lawns and see the fireworks. The majority of people lining up are not from the Springs. So we have to start notifying, social media, everything. There are no fireworks if that's the decision
Yeah,
that is
I mean,
made.
the last meeting, I didn't feel comfortable with it, and then we let it sit in season for a little bit. You're kind of addressing the same concerns that I had the last meeting. Thank you.
The chair,
Yes, sir.
like you were saying, obviously this is a huge undertaking and we definitely have to consider it with the investment we're making to the golf course. And aside from all you guys having all the staff and getting all the personnel there, I think we also got to be realistic. There's going to a lot of people that's probably going to get still through the cracks, and they're going to probably do some damage to something that we're just trying to fix. So I think we'll have to wait, like Councilman Fayette said, to your overall plan, and you guys make the assessment that we can have an opportunity to talk about it. But generally, we have to also consider that there's a good chance that it'll do damage as well.
With all due respect, you're saying a plan. We have the plan,
Right. Well, I haven't seen.
That's what it.
I got it.
That's.
I think.
We have to give you the actual. This is the worst case scenario.
Okay, so let's do this. Well, one of the things I'm thinking of while we're talking about all these discussions and to me personally, the additional cost is a huge factor, because it's not just, protecting the golf course and all this. Now we're actually talking about doubling potentially the cost of the fireworks display for something that is not going to be perfect. We're still going to have problems. So that's a big factor. I didn't realize the police cost would be that much. But the other thing I guess I want to throw out while we're discussing all this is the parade itself. We probably need to consider changing the route of the parade so that it's not going all the way to the golf course, because if we're going all the way to the golf course where it dumps, and I don't mean dump ends, I guess is a better word. What is the police supposed to do with all these people? So I think in the past, we've had it on Westward Drive, the parade one time, but then we didn't because of the bike path. We don't want to change it. I mean, because of protecting the golf course.
It's always been on Westwood. It's just that we started at the rec center before, and now we're starting on
At the,
Esplanade.
okay, but say going down Curtis, perhaps we need to switch, say on, what is that?
And to
Marine side,
Pinecrest?
Pinecrest.
We've discussed it
Or switch
internally.
it.
So it's either Pinecrest or right before you get to Deer Run. Right, you get to Deer Run, you can't cross
Right.
past Deer Run. You'd make a right
Right.
or the left.
Yeah, but you can't keep.
Yeah, it's
the-
going to be
the-
hard to keep.
The crowds ending there is a huge, so we
So-
probably need to, Morningside, Pinecrest, one of those is
So
diverted
we,
there.
We've discussed already some options.
Okay.
Internally, we haven't made a decision yet, but we have some ideas. To be honest with you guys, the parade is the least of my worries.
Yeah.
We can figure that out. That's just a logistical thing within the department, getting with the administration and be like, hey, this is an idea we have, making sure police is on board. But the firework is the issue. I promise you, Mayor, we'll make it work.
Okay,
the
I just
parade
don't
is-
want
yeah.
to, we've.
We
done our
completely
best to
understand.
protect At the fireworks, and we haven't given a lot of thought with the parade, which is,
We completely understand.
people do like that part of, that wet part that we've always had at the golf course where.
And
that's-
the issue we're having, I'm the one that came up here and told you guys I'm gonna do whatever I can to have the fireworks, right?
Sure.
And I've tried, but I have to be reasonable. And I've met with the administration and met with the chief, his command staff, and the reality is that as much as I want to have fireworks because I'm patriotic, my dad was in the military. That's one of my favorite holidays. I gotta be honest, it's gonna be impossible. It's just with the street closures we have to do in the bird section to be able to provide a safe environment without maybe a kid running around getting hit by another car. Remember, one of the beauties of the golf course is that people go there, they tailgate, and where are their kids?
Running around.
The golf course. Okay, on the greens, all over the place, and really, there's no cars really that are go in there because they kind of provide a barrier with people parking their cars. We're looking at there is no barrier. Kids are running in the streets. People are having a good time, maybe drinking. So we looked at, once we looked at, okay, maybe we can get the fireworks here and shoot them off. Awesome. All right, we got that taken care of. We started looking at now, how do we protect our residents? Patrons coming over. And as soon as we started to go further and further and more into it, we realized that we have a bigger problem than what we actually probably anticipated.
Mayor, is the
Okay,
purpose
so-
of this item for us to
Well-
approve that they continue and go to the school board, or
I-
is it, does a decision have to be made today of whether or not
Well, I'm on
we continue?
board, and that's a very good question, because if from what the council hears right now, you've presented your plan, basically, the problems, the additional cost, which certainly wasn't something that I had, I anticipated some nominal extra cost, but not doubling. So I really don't see the reason, if the council takes a vote tonight and decides not to go forward, to wait for the school board, ask the school board to vote on it, because, if we have favors to ask them, I'd rather not be a favor that after they approve it, then we say we really don't want to do it anyway. Let's wait and, use those favors for something we really want. So and what I'm reading right now is we're all pretty much getting the idea, we just aren't going to proceed with it. Why put this in front of the school board and make them vote on it and then say, never mind, we changed our minds? If that's the case, and I don't know.
Through the chair.
If we want to have a motion now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I to borrow a NASA term, the go, no go is tonight.
Okay, so if
I
there's a
just don't-
motion, we can, and that way the chief and Omar and, William and Tammy don't have to pursue this any further. Unless there's some reason that someone feels that we want to wait for the school board to say yes, and we'd still be on board with having it, but that's not
Mayor,
the
I'd like,
consensus I'm getting.
I'd like the motion, given the additional information that we've gotten from staff. I'd like the motion that we cancel the fireworks for this year, because it's in our best interest in terms of safety, cost, and protecting the golf course.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, so is there any more discussion? Let's call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Santin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank you
for your
for your
work. I
efforts.
know you guys really turned it inside out trying to find a way, guys.
But,
And Omar, I'm a patriot too, man. I love that, but.
Fireworks in my house.
All right.
Okay, it's unfortunate, but I can see that we're just going to be spinning our wheels and probably wind up with the same. And I really don't want to
And I don't want to.
bother the school board with that. Okay, so the next agenda item is
7B.
Julie, I'm sorry it took so long to get to you. Julie Arias, the Chair of the Centennial Committee, providing an update.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Evening.
So we have a great board. I do want to remind that we do have one open seat. So we'd love to fill it. Just letting you know, we can
Not
definitely.
anymore. Someone was appointed.
Oh, it's officially?
recent- Yes, you.
Never mind. Good news. All right. So what we've done is basically we have created 5 different groups at the moment. We divided the different groups into advertisement, decoration, installations, events and entertainment, funding, expenses, and community outreach. And what we've done is we've brainstormed different ideas that go under each one. The idea is that we are going to concise this and present it to the board once we've all decided these are really the ideas that we really want to pursue, that are cost effective. And we've also come up with ways that we can fund these different ideas. But I can just go ahead and just give you a couple of ideas that we have so far in regards to decorations installation. One of the things that I actually want to bring up, are they gone? No, they are. We actually talked about even doing a Centennial Park where we would have a park that's dedicated to children and using airline themed, apparatuses for the kids and so on and so forth, things of that nature. LED projection informational walk down Curtis Parkway, where we would have these beautiful installations that as people are walking down, they can read and see different things that happened throughout the history here in Miami Springs. Storefront window displays, murals, different events that we talked about included Centennial fashion shows that talked about all the different eras. We talked about doing light show, a historical tour. We talked about doing video mapping in the different historical houses or facilities in the entire city, where once a month we would actually have an area where we would invite everybody to come to this building. Let's say, for example, the golf course, and we would actually video map the golf course, and it would say a story. Get all of our seniors involved that have grown up here in Miami Springs and talk and interview them and use even that footage as a way to celebrate how Miami Springs has evolved and developed throughout the different years. We've talked about doing a centennial tree, a planting of the centennial tree, different ways that we can fundraise, doing a custom car plate, things of that nature. We talked about doing pins where every single month they would have a different pin that could have been designed by possibly the students of our, city, things of that nature. We do currently have a survey also out, QR code. You can find it on the website, Miami Springs, on the Miami Springs page. It's also been sent out. We have last 2 weeks of that survey for us to collect ideas from all of our different members in our community, also our programs, churches, businesses. We want everyone that's involved in this community to give us some input as to how they would like to see the centennial being celebrated. And yeah, that's where we are.
Wonderful. Any questions?
Yeah, Mayor. So first of all, thank you, Julie, because I think the River Cities Festival was great. I think you did a wonderful job. You should be commended for that. And it sounds like you guys have really hit the ground running. So I like the direction it's going. And I know that we're going to be in 12D, we're going to be discussing adding additional members. You need additional members?
Well, I guess not anymore, right? I know we had one seat available, and we were, wanting to fill it. So I guess it sounds like we filled it. Am I correct?
Okay, and I think one thing we discussed with that too was that when the Centennial Committee was created is we would have the 5 appointees, but that you can add at-large members that are not voting members, but community members that are historian or, that is, and they would be part of the committee, even though with final votes, it would be for the appointees.
Absolutely. And I think definitely once we've also identified which are the projects that we're really going to pursue, definitely at that point, we're definitely going to also have to create maybe subcommittees or so on to help make all those different.
Through the
Okay,
chair.
and while you're here, 1 second then do we have consensus so that Councilman Santin can go ahead and we'll move up his item
He can.
to have
He
it all
gets to this
together?
point, we might as well
Okay,
get
give
to it.
1 second and let's listen to Councilman Vasquez.
Well, it's a different item, but it's one that we talked about.
With the centennial?
Creation of the centennial, which had to do with budget. And we agreed that we needed to do annual assignment of funds, which I think should be in the consideration, right, for our budget discussion in August, which is only a few months away. So I think that part of your discussions and internal, discussions and so forth and so on is that we need to start putting some dollar signs next to some items so that when we come to our budget discussions, we can itemize them and see what's going, but we don't want you to not have funding to move some items forward during the course of the next fiscal year.
So
that was my.
that's a good point. And perhaps Julie, since we have budget workshops in August, sometime by July, if you could come up with, some anticipated cost of reasonable seed money that you need on, for this year and perhaps projections for future years. So we know what it would be, but say for going forward, our budget is, now in August, and then we'll approve the new budget for fiscal year 2022 fall 2023, 24. So you would let William or Tammy, I can't use that term anymore. You'll let William know. I'm going to say this as much as.
Well, you can let him know he's not going to answer the phone. Right?
No, we're going to have spies figuring out what his speed dial is. Let
definitely-
Tammy know what that would be so that it can be included in as a budget
Absolutely.
item.
And one of the things that we're definitely doing is once the survey is completed and we've narrowed down what are the main topics, we're also going to go ahead and create a report that not only specifies exactly how that item is going to be run, but again, what our projected cost of that item would be. So it would be clear for everyone to understand what we're looking at in regards to dollars.
Do you have a deadline for the survey?
Yes, we have the last 2 weeks. So by May, we'll have all that. We'll have those itemized details as to what we would really like to see happen. Of course, understanding that it could change and it can evolve, but at least having a very good, thorough understanding or foundation as to what it is that we're looking to do.
Julian, you're looking for 1 year celebration right now, or
Correct.
have you just, okay.
We
And it'll
definitely
be
want
a
to do
year
something special
celebration
for every single month. So
Okay.
for the entire month and then leading up to the
of
major.
2026.
That is correct.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I don't know if there may be a question for William. To help the Centennial Board with funds, is it possible to open it up to the community should they want to donate funds for this purpose? Is that something that we can maybe open a funding account? So if the community wants to take part and make donations, that can help with costs. It-
That's
Yeah,
possible.
okay.
Okay, right. All right.
I
Councilman?
think to add to that, I think that I'm sure you're gonna look at sponsorships at some point throughout this process. And certainly, business owners in the community and outside of the community are welcome to sponsor different events that the Centennial Committee will be putting forward.
How does, I'm guessing this would work. Would it be similar to our war memorial that they have funding, or they've created their own account
They
for that?
created their own account.
Account
It's a
for that.
separate, it's a
Okay.
separate group. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But we have people that donate to the senior center, for
Mhm.
example.
So they,
Donation to the senior center and all that. So that's something that someone can send. a
be
donation
advertised
to
when
the
you talk about,
Centennial Celebration.
and also when you talk about meetings and, advertising stuff, you can always say that donations
Are accepted and so on.
yes, however.
So would that be something that the city would open up for Julie, or is it something that Julie will open up for the Centennial Board? And
Oh, I need direction from council. If council wants us to start something like that, we can start advertising on
that's what
social
it,
media.
that's the right window to be able to use our social media for the intended purpose of of the city celebration. Okay, I mean, I would like that,
Okay.
whatever helps.
Possibly let's give it some more thought, and you'll come up with that kind of an idea of what you need. Obviously, the seed money, I think you're going to need that to move forward. And also, what donations, like how people can donate, we'll come up
Right.
with a process. for
Right,
that.
so it would be the city, which would be the seed money plus the outside
Yes,
contributors,
would be.
whoever, and
And
anyone.
sponsors, like he said,
And
sponsors
sponsors, it could be a
which
combination.
I'm sure
but-
there's, hopefully, there's several corporate sponsors that will be on board for that.
To be
Yes.
clear, Mayor, as well, I don't want it to be lost that the committee is not expending funds. So any recommendations that they have on expenditures of funds needs to go through either the city manager if it falls under his authority, or brought to council for approval. So the committee is not expending funds.
Yes, thank you, Heidi, for clarifying that. You're right.
And just to, I guess maybe this is a Heidi question. I think it's important to
Is your
note
microphone on? I'm sorry. Is your microphone?
It's important to note that we should have an idea fairly soon, I mean, within the next few months, of the kind of expenditures that we're considering, how much this whole thing might cost, given on whatever design it's going to be, there's going to be a number to it. And I think that's going to help sort of figure out both the funding and the expenditures and when the expenditures take place. And I like the ballpark number, just to say, okay, this is what we think it's going to cost to do all the things that we want to do, and come up with that. Okay, then how do we raise the money for that? What can we raise from private donors, the city's contributions, and so forth? I think for me, that would be helpful. 2026 is the day. 2026 is the year, right? That's when it's all going to happen. What is it going to cost?
Okay, but I think that's something the committee will have to work
Yeah,
with
no,
the
no,
city
that's what I'm saying.
administration. We
Yeah,
won't be
yeah,
coming
they
up with
can,
that.
they can
Yes.
provide us that, for sure.
Okay. With the help
Say-
of the
We can say,
city
no,
administration
no,
figuring out.
trim it down and,
Okay.
Mayor, did the vice mayor have anything that he wanted to add? I didn't mean to pull your item,
That's fine.
your discussion item into this.
Discuss it now, I guess.
Yes, unless we have any other questions for Julie.
I do not.
Okay.
Well, Julia, first want to say that you're doing a great job, and I know a lot of stuff you have on your plate during the River City, and then also the Centennials. You've done a great job. So this is no testament, or reason I brought this up,
Not to mention
any
the
reflection on you at all. The opposite. I think that this is a huge undertaking. And, I've already, from personal experience, from the Economic Task Force, which had a lot more members, and somehow it seemed to fall apart. And we had very few at the end. But so I'm kind of afraid of that same situation. And I've been to several meetings, and of course, there's special circumstances. Jennifer Graham, which is a great asset, also had resigned because she ran for election. And of course, the same times that I've been there, some other people weren't there. So we had very few people at the meetings, enough for a quorum. But I think the strength is in numbers. So I'm not anywhere suggesting 11 people, but I thought that 2 people more, considering going into summer, considering that this is such a huge undertaking, that limiting ourselves to possibly having meetings with 3 people is not enough of good thinking to bring good ideas to you and to help you get this in the right direction. So I've obviously already, as Erica was mentioning, I already selected somebody that I thought was going to bring a lot good ideas and an asset to the committee, Captain Hell. At the same time, it was a hard decision because I think, Jennifer Graham, who was there serving before, also plays a good part and has played a part. So I just thought it was because of the timing into the summers, and we're here, grinding here the last parts to get everything organized. I think that the number at 5, it's kind of weak in the sense that things happen, life happens. So I thought, adding 2 more members was a good idea.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll tell you my thoughts on that. I feel very strongly it should be 1 appointee per council member, and the Business and Economic Development Task Force that you brought up is a good reason why. When we discussed that originally, I was the one that proposed 2 members per council to have it a bigger board. And actually, I found that that did not work well. We had, numerous meetings because the bigger it is, the more people you need for a quorum. So constantly, they couldn't meet because there wasn't a quorum. And then we had a lot of members who just dropped out in the middle of, there's no other word. They dropped out in the middle of, after serving a few months, and new members were appointed. I know you were one of them down the road. So some of them were being appointed, and only serving on it 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. I find that our city boards and this is a board just like the other ones, where we have 1 appointee each. And their appointee, if they're not attending, we need to know about it so we can appoint someone else. With all due respect, things happen, like you said. And if the person, can't make it to the meetings, I've talked with Erica about this, about, making sure that if our meeting is supposed to be, and I don't mean the Centennial Committee, but whatever board is supposed to meet the 3rd Thursday of the month. I understand occasionally something happens, but it shouldn't be our city clerks trying to find another day because they couldn't get a quorum. It's either the 3rd Thursday of the month and the person can't make that commitment, and they shouldn't be on the board, with all due respect. So now that's not to say that they need more help. And I agree with you. And that's why we discussed members at large, appointing committee members at large that are not the voting ones, so that the quorum is, and then if that's the 3 people, that's all you need. You don't need the 7 who couldn't arrange their schedules to be there, or the 5 or whatever. Right. To be there, but appointing committee members at large with definite interest and expertise. Jennifer Graham, for one, who was the former president of the Historical Society. I know I mentioned Seth Bramson, who is a historian, well beloved in Miami Springs, and he's not a resident, so he can't be a voting member, but he should certainly be reached out to, I guess. And there may be several others like that. And then they would all be noticed about the meeting, asked to attend. Ultimately, the only difference is, when the vote comes down, it's the 5 members. But I think the Business and Economic Development Task Force was a very good example of, why it just doesn't work out well to have more than 1 appointee each.
Less is more sometimes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think at the end of the day, it's also important for that reason that you select people that are truly
Truly, and it's one, no matter how.
like feathers in the cap. And
Well, and no matter how much passion they may have for the board, if reality is that they have trouble making that designated day of whatever, when they're appointed to the board, they know the city clerk tells them when it meets. And I found, in the past, and that's actually something I wanted to bring up before the council, to discuss that our city clerks shouldn't be the ones constantly rescheduling meetings, trying to find a date that fits everyone. We need to make sure that the person who, and if they can't make it, it's going to be difficult for them. They're more than welcome to attend the meeting, but we need to know whoever our appointee is so that we can reach out, and fill that with someone else that can make that commitment.
Okay.
Okay, so that said, I think the at-large members, and my understanding is, and Heidi, you can correct me, with the ordinance that we wrote for the Centennial Committee or the Reso, they can be appointed by the council, suggested by the council, by the committee. I'm not sure if there's a specific, I think it has to be by consensus. Do we need?
You can do by motion or resolution.
By motion, okay.
To appoint non-voting members. I think Roger, who is thankfully sitting in my place this evening, and is, as you know, my right hand on all things Miami Springs, he has the resolution in front of him, and we did look at that section earlier today. Roger, can you clarify?
Yeah, no, good evening, members
Roger.
of the council, mayor. Heidi is exactly right. A committee member at large can be appointed by motion or by resolution of this council. So.
Okay, so let's keep that as an ongoing option at any meeting. If there's anyone that, that you want, like you mentioned, Jennifer Graham, at this meeting, or I guess a future meeting, you just ask that she be appointed as an at-large member.
So just so that I'm clear, if let's say us as the board, if we have someone that we think would be great, we bring it to you and say, can you vote
So
on?
any one of us, anyone on the council, you just reach out, just like with anything else, a resident can reach out to any one of us and discuss something that they would like. So I think with the board too,
Perfect.
any one of us, and, do they need to? Yeah, I guess it's easier if you go through one of us and say that there's someone in that way, we're bringing it up. So
Perfect.
but let's keep that in mind as an ongoing, because sometimes you run across someone that, you think they say they're interested and you think they would be, great on it. And then Eric, I want to make sure who's ever at large that they're getting all the meeting notices and all the information too. It's not just that they have to look online for the meeting date.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we anticipated this when we started discussing. Obviously, we didn't expect 5 people to take this whole, ball and run with it. We expected that we were going to have other folks that be part of it. And so I think that the sort of non-voting member, but someone that could feel they're part of the commission, but they're a non-voting member. Number one. Number two, we also anticipated that we wanted to try, with your recommendation and our thinking, to bring people on board who had a certain skill set to offer. You mentioned earlier that you had 5 working groups. So, filling those groups with more folks that can come in, and it's not just the board carrying the ball. So I think this is an ongoing process, Mayor, that I think we can begin to consider, and individual conversations with the chair, say, hey, what about this person? Or what about someone that has this particular skill set that has worked on, big projects like this. So I'm encouraged.
Okay.
by it,
And
I appreciate,
we'll all.
I appreciate your
Yes,
thoughts here,
Councilman, and,
Councilman
let's-
Santeen, for bringing it
I
to.
think I think the open large selection would be great. And I think we should wait at least I'm going to wait first to talk to the person that I had in mind, and then also to hear Julie. If she has some suggestions of people that she thinks is a good asset. I think that, that's, like I said, strength in numbers is, but good quality people that really don't want just
So they'll be on the committee.
caps and
The only
feathers in the
difference,
cap.
Yeah.
they're
We're working.
committee members. I want to make sure that, we call them as committee members and they're on the
Yes.
Centennial
Yes,
Committee.
yes.
The only difference
Yes.
would be that,
Yes.
they, the voting members would.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's great.
They're official
Okay,
members. once-
wonderful.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank
Have
you,
the
Julie.
meeting halls right behind you.
As
Julie.
Julie, as if you didn't have anything else to do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for the River Cities. Everyone had a wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful time. You and your team did a wonderful job. Okay, so, well, we've moved some things out of the way already.
Yeah.
We're
We
at
have the
8.
Annexation update, is that?
Yes, but we still have,
We still have
we still have a public hearing on,
Hello.
item
Yes.
8. Yeah, we're still,
Yes, hello.
in the middle of the.
I keep
Okay.
flipping pages.
So
here,
we have
sorry.
a public hearing,
Yes.
William, or
Yes.
gonna read
yes.
this? The ordinance? Roger?
Mayor, the ordinance before you today for second reading is unchanged from first reading. I'll go ahead and read the title for the council. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, comprehensively updating and amending chapter 53, Stormwater Utility Management Program of the city's Code of Ordinances by creating division I, water quality pertaining to illicit discharges and connections, erosion and sediment control, and other water quality regulations, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Mayor
Through
and
the chair.
council, good evening. As Roger mentioned, the ordinance remains unchanged between first and second reading. You approved this at your last meeting and we explained the purpose of the ordinance then, but we're happy to answer any questions you might have. If
Okay,
not,
and let me,
open it for a public hearing and
let me open it for a public hearing first so that we don't forget before. All right, so I'm opening this item 8 on the agenda, 8A for a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak? Even if you didn't sign up to speak, if you'd like to speak, please come on up. Do we have anyone? Okay. So I'm closing the public hearing. Okay, Councilman Vasquez.
I'd like to move the approval of item 8A ordinance, second reading.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any more discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Santin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is consent agenda. We have consent agenda items 9A through D. Does anyone want to pull out any of these items for discussion? Separate discussion? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve 9A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question, I guess, on the recreation fees.
Yes.
That's consent. Where is that? Is that in here?
Okay, so you,
9C.
let's,
9C.
C.
so let's pull that one. We'll discuss that. If you have a discussion on it, because it's
Okay.
consent agenda, we'll pull that one
Thank
and
you.
then
Talk
you
about
want to
it.
venture, which one is this one?
Sure.
See,
It's 9C. Motion to approve 9A, B, and D.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on 9A, B, or D? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Santin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, and now we have 9C. Councilman?
Yeah.
You had something to
Yeah.
discuss on that?
Yeah, sorry for that. I just had some, I guess for one more, sorry to keep you here a little longer, buddy, but
All
just the
good.
question was on the fees on I guess on the seniors, the disabled, it was taken off, that's what it was? Let me get to that fee sheet. Thought I had it in front of me.
While you look for that,
Go
I'll
ahead.
pass this over. Omar, really quick, through the chair, my apologies.
Yes, go ahead.
On item on the fee schedule, number 2, open gym activity. You had 18 and over at $4, and you also had the non-resident at $4. And are they gonna still stay the same, or do you want, based on what I'm seeing here $5 a day for either resident or non-resident?
Yes, it's $5 for them to use open gym,
So,
Non-residents.
non-resident and resident.
so would you say perhaps there should be a differentiation there, maybe non-resident?
That
should
would be a great idea. Unfortunately, since we took funding from the county when we built the community center, we're not allowed to have resident or
can't have a
non-resident
different rate for
at the
resident
community
or
center. At the aquatic center, yes, because we paid
Oh.
for that fully, but at the rec center, Commissioner So's office gave us what, like 3 something million, so that we can't use that angle there.
Councilman?
Yeah, I guess that just I saw there that you guys eliminated the seniors, I guess is disabled is also there for the pool membership. I would assume is that, I didn't see where it said anything about disabled. But seniors 60 and over is free for the pool membership. And then as well,
disabled is there. It's just a few lines up from the struck through section on senior 60 and over. If you go up to about the third line under section 4 for pool membership.
I mean, I guess I'd like to know, like, how many seniors do we have and disabled that actually use the pool? Like, it seems like any way we can help them, I would like to see how we can help them. We seem to give a lot of, things for free for them, which is they deserve. But obviously, I want to know budgetary wise that if there is a significant amount and how much it's going to cost us. But if it's
I have to go
insignificant,
back and take a look at the numbers.
if it's insignificant, I think
We have a lot of seniors that use the pool. How many of them are disabled? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. No, I would admit. I'd have to talk to James and look at
right.
But we also have free hours for seniors.
at the
Correct.
aquatic center.
Yes, at the aquatic center in
I
the
don't think
mornings.
so.
In the mornings, weekdays?
No. We have where they could use they use our gym at the community center for free. And we did that when we incorporated that when we were building the new senior center so they could have somewhere to go. But we've kept it also because there are some younger seniors that prefer our fitness room because it's a bit more heavy weights and stuff like that. So we kept that in place.
Through the chair, I had a question. So, I see here on pool fees for youth 17 and under. Okay, never mind. I think I got confused here. Wait. That has to do with gym. Okay, so number 6, pool fees, where it has to do with, seniors, disabled, veterans, youth 17 and under, it's $3 for a resident, and then for non-residents, $5. Could that be maybe as well as adjusted? Maybe, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, do you think we could go back to see if we can help our disabled and our veterans and senior citizens a little bit better?
Sure.
I don't want to
But what do you guys want to do?
we need to increase the prices. I'm really just focusing on that spectrum.
Yeah, that's fine. But we want them to go for free like we did with the community center from a certain window. It doesn't bother us either way. We're good with it. I have no issue with it. But
No, I want to make sure that we're
Is it a
okay.
huge, I think what we're asking, is it a huge revenue source or is it a nominal?
It's not.
revenue
no,
source?
it's not. I'll be honest. It's not a huge revenue source. That's why I'm saying if you guys want to, it's an easy fix for us. It's a no brainer.
I mean, if
we've
you're
just-
okay with it, I feel okay with it. 'cause-
Yeah, as long as we have the ideal would be for us to have like a window, a parameter to it. Residents, seniors. We could do this at the pool. We could do residents, seniors from certain time to certain time, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, weekends, maybe they have to pay, maybe they don't. I mean, that's just really up to what you guys want to do. But we're not talking about a huge impact for revenue. Our huge impact for revenue at the aquatic center is the multipurpose room, the private rentals, summer swim lessons, things like that. We're talking about maybe $300 to $400 throughout the year, if that.
Oh.
They get charged $3 each time they show
The
up.
Seniors don't swim free on weekdays, mornings.
I'll ask James. I
I thought they did.
don't.
Maybe they didn't pass, no?
Through the mayor or mayor.
Remember.
If I may, at least as the resolution's fee schedule is written right now, if you look at the section 6 pool fees, right beneath seniors, disabled veterans and youth 17 and under, there is a section where seniors 60 and older do go in for free on weekdays, and it's being changed actually from 9 to 12, from 7.
Okay, so they did. And so we're switching,
That's
we're
what
getting
we
rid of
should-
that.
yeah.
Okay. I am almost positive. Yeah, I thought they were going free in the morning. So I
Are you-
think that should be
So you-
reinstituted.
I think what maybe we're trying to say is maybe we can add in disabled in there as well, because it's only targeting seniors.
I defer to Omar and the administration on.
That's fine with me.
Thank you, Roger. But
Okay.
that is probably, that's what I was referring to. I thought they went free on weekdays mornings. So on here, we're eliminating it. Can we reinstitute that where seniors go
This whole
free in weekday mornings, which is a quiet time for them to, and I know a lot of seniors do go there. At least several that I know of like to go there and, and then later they go to the senior center for lunch.
That's
From
fine. We
there.
could put it back in. That's not a problem.
So just to be clear, what are we going to do?
With the amendments, yeah.
Put back this line where the seniors, but then we're adding disabled and veterans,
Right.
Monday through Friday mornings from 9 to 12, it's free admission.
To be
For
clear, that's on the pool membership under section 4 or under pool fees? Because I did notice there is a distinction on the next page under pool fees. Seniors 60 and over are still free for the general pool admission. Whereas the pool membership seems
Membership.
to be a little different.
So what's,
Is there any difference?
what is the difference?
Omar?
Well, membership is like your yearly membership.
Through the chair,
Mhm.
how, off the top of your head, if you have to come back to us, the membership for this line item, seniors, disabled and veterans, all right, do we have a lot of memberships?
I'll have to look at it.
My ultimate goal here is to really just help them, and if wherever we can slash to help these group of people, that's
Well, then
it. But
let's-
I'm
let's
okay
do
with
that.
everything. I'm okay with everything else.
Yeah, let's do it then. Let's
Do that.
whether we have 50 or 5 of them
I
registered
went
is
on this criteria one day, so I just want to make sure
Would it be helpful, Omar, and just for administrative efficiency on this? Since the pool membership seems to just include the amenities at a discounted private rental rate, if you look at that footnote. If in section 6, instead, on the seniors 60 and over, if we just add at the end of that and disabled, then strike it from the section right above, and just leave it senior 60 and over and disabled free at the times listed from 9 a.m. to noon, etc. Would that satisfy the will of the council?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
and veterans.
Veterans.
Yes.
So with the change on section 6 of the fee schedule, are there any other fee changes that the council wishes to?
I think if,
Include?
well, I think if, and I don't know how the rest of the council feels about this, but, if we're going to let them go free, let's just, not leave it till 12. Just what you're saying is, what you're suggesting is just that they're able to go in any time.
Anytime,
If it's nominal, the revenues that we're losing, I mean, I'm always concerned about losing revenues because, obviously they pay for our lifeguards and our staff and, running the pool and all this. So there's significant revenues we have to consider, but,
On the weekends, it could be.
I don't
And
see
then-
them going on the weekend though.
all right, let's do weekdays.
You'd be
Avoid
shocked.
the crowd.
Yes.
No, what happens on a weekend is someone throws a birthday party and you have abuela, abuelo,
Right.
tia, primo show up and there's 10 or 15 of them from the city. And then
Well,
that-
but wait, this would be for residents only, no?
correct, but that's still,
Okay.
Yeah.
So just
we,
keep it-
if
keep it
someone
away from the
rents 2
weekend.
cabanas for a
Okay.
birthday party and like, for example, I could tell you in my family 60 and over, if I have a birthday party for my daughter, there's at least 15 people showing up 60 and over.
Let's leave it
Turn the
for.
week-
Leave it for weekdays.
Is.
I'm just
when
being
it gets
honest.
crowded, for families and all, that's when they want to be there. So let's leave it weekdays if that's
Fair.
okay with everyone, but
Yeah.
not limit
I'm
the
okay with
time.
It's less
I
complicated.
think the target of what we're trying to do is on the weekdays, the people that are going to the pool that are seniors are going there to swim, exercise, etc. While on a weekend, like for example, if my tia goes to my daughter's birthday party, she's not gonna get in the water.
Right.
So sometimes like we don't charge you for not gonna get in the water, because that's pointless. So if we notice like there's some older people there to to their grandkids' birthday party, we let them in. So we work with them, but I think it's more for the seniors that are gonna go in the morning swimming, things like that, to exercise, and we want to go for free. I'm 100%.
So we'll leave it, we'll make it, leave what was there before actually without deleting it. They can swim on weekdays, but we won't have the time constraint. They can
Right.
go anytime free. And that'll be seniors and
And disabled.
disabled.
And veterans.
veterans.
vets. Okay.
So Mayor, if I may repeat what
Yes, sir.
the changes of the council
Yes.
has agreed on. The idea is to allow seniors, veterans, and disabled individuals to have the free membership on weekdays.
Yes.
And then for the pool fees, adding the waiver of fees for seniors, disabled individuals, and veterans on weekdays.
Yes, on weekdays.
So that's 4 and 6, the changes.
Right.
Yep.
But ultimately, in both cases, what we're talking about is seniors, disabled and vets can go free on weekdays, which is when the pool is not as busy. Right. All right, is there a motion? Are
Motion.
there any, Councilman, did you have anything else you want to
That's it.
discuss on this? Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve with the recommended recommendations, right?
I second that.
Okay, any more discussion?
Was it recommendations or changes?
Amendments? no?
With the changes as stated on the record.
All right, thank you.
Okay, call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Centine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you,
Mayor
Armwood.
Council, thank you guys.
You have a
Appreciate it.
heart of gold.
So if you're an elderly veteran and disabled, if you meet all three, do you get head of line privileges?
One more?
Just kidding, just kidding. I do, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you, Omar.
If you meet all three, we'll do a fireworks show in front of your house.
Omar, if they mean all three, we'll pay them. to use the pool.
You need the address of where the firework is going to be for 4th of July?
Yeah, right.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, good
Okay,
night.
Thank you, Omar.
All right, so we move to annexation update, item 12A. And I wanted more than anything, well, to update the council and our residents, but also for the record, to state where we are right now with the annexation. As you know, and I'll give a brief history, as most everyone knows, about many years ago, almost 20 years ago, the county approached the city and asked if we wanted to annex an area to our west. It was what they call an enclave, and they were trying to get rid of these enclaves where they had to go through municipalities to service them, and they were small enough that it drained their resources, and they felt it was more effective for them to be annexed by an adjacent city. So back then, before any of us were on the council, the city had a referendum, a vote of residents, and the residents voted yes, that they wanted to pursue the annexation because for several reasons, but it borders our city, it expands our city boundaries, it provides us with a diversification of land use, of having a commercial and industrial component that is really necessary for cities to move forward in the future. So for a whole bunch of reasons, the city told the county yes, and we wanted to pursue the annexation. That started a very long process of years where somewhere along the line, the county had a moratorium on annexations for numerous years. So they basically halted all annexations in the county. Then because there were several cities, ourselves, Virginia Gardens, Doral, and Medley that were interested in annexing, that the county approached about annexing areas, and there were several cities that wanted to annex these areas to the west. The county said for the 4 cities to have a 4-city agreement as to the 4 cities to sit down and agree as to what areas they wanted to annex. The cities did that, and each city came up with a designated area that they wanted to annex. That was submitted to the county as a 4-city annexation application. The county, again, delayed the process on that until recently, until this past summer. It was brought before the Board of County Commissioners. And before that, there were a few meetings where it was brought before that I know I attended, and nothing happened. It was delayed. But then this summer, the Board of County Commissioners approved the interlocal annexation agreement application, and thereby directed the county attorneys to prepare interlocal agreements with each municipality to complete the process. The interlocal agreements, while that process was going on, starting in the summer of 2022, I know we were in contact with the county numerous times, and we were always told, it's going to be by the end of the week, you'll have it by the beginning of next week, by the end of the week, by the beginning of next week. And somehow that process wound up being November 1st was the first time that it was ready from the county, the interlocal agreement. The interlocal agreement was identical for all 4 cities. The only difference is that the boundaries described in the name of the city. Other than that, was the same. At that time, the big consideration that we were hearing through this whole process, and in fact, for several years, a small group of business owners in that annexation area were suing the city because of our millage rate. They had concerns over our millage rate. We agreed to, we passed a resolution this past summer offering to, stating that upon annexation, we would lower our millage rate to between 3.7 to 4.0. That was presented to the county commission in November 1st. The county did not approve our annexation agreement ostensibly because they said our proposed millage rate was still too high. It was not as low as the other municipalities. So we had a resolution in December of 2022. We passed a resolution saying that upon annexation, we would lower our millage rate. We would commit to lowering our millage rate to between 2.5 to 3.0, which was the same as the other municipalities. So taking that off the table, basically, that's no longer an issue. However, during that time, there was an election and our former county commissioner was termed out and we had a new county commissioner. So it was necessary for our new county commissioner, Commissioner Cabrera, to bring forward the item before our annexation application before the county commissioners again. He decided that he wanted to have a survey done of the property owners in the area. So a survey was sent by the county, prepared by the county and sent by the county at our cost, at the city's cost. We were told that we would have to submit a 100-word statement saying why, to the property owners, a 100-word statement as to why we were requesting the annexation, which we did. We worked very hard with our city attorneys, with our lobbyists, coming out, you can imagine, to make a succinct 100-word statement on something that has been going on for several years and that there's several reasons, not just benefits to our residents of expanding our city's boundary and strengthening our commercial and industrial, strengthening our land and our diversification by adding a commercial and industrial component and lowering our millage rate for our residents and all of our business owners, over 500 business owners. So we worked very hard to prepare that 100-word statement. It went, we discussed it several times with the county as to what we could have. We requested to see the statement before the survey before it was sent to the property owners. We were shown it and we agreed with it. Much to our surprise, inexplicably, what went out a few days later, 15 words were removed from our 100-word statement. Now, 15 words is a lot when you're only allowed to have 100 words. We were not told that they would remove those 15 words. They were important to our statement. And if we had known that would be removed, we would obviously add another 15 words, to make sure. So I'm bringing that up because I want this on the record, because later on things get forgotten, what happened, and trying to be brief, but to make sure that what I think are important points are here. We, as soon as we found out this is what was sent out, missing 15 words from our statement, we tried to find out from the county and, why this was done. The response that we got was it was an accident. It shouldn't have been done. Now you've got to think that means you pressed delete 15 times, to get the whole last statements off. But what I think is more important is what was in the 100 words and the 15 words that were removed. What was in the 15 words that were removed from our 100-word statement was the same information that anything that any of us, any resident or any business owner receives from the county by mail would have. And that would be for more information, contact with a website, with a phone number or a email address. That is fundamental, whether you get it from the libraries, from the property appraisers, from Public Works, Water and Sewer. Any notice that you get from the county has that information. That was actually what was deleted from our 100-word statement. It was for more information, contact Miami Springs City Manager with a phone number and an email address. So that in itself, and the reason that I'm raising that is because the survey, which was sent from the county, was supposed to give business property owners the opportunity to decide if they wanted the annexation or not. Well, if you're only getting a 100-word statement, it's pretty important that you have a way to request more information,
Yes.
right? They were not provided with that. When we brought it up to the county, we were told, well, it's too late to, they're not going to send out another one. But it shouldn't have happened. The other concern that we had with the survey that was sent out was that it was sent to every property, every folio in that annexation area. There are, I believe, 850 folios, 840 something folio numbers in that area. So it meant that someone who owned more than one property, which many of the property owners do, more than one folio, received more than one survey. So the responses that they got, that the county received, was out of 840 something folios, they received 283 responses. Out of the 283 responses, all were no's except for one yes. Now, what's important with the 283 responses is that half of those responses of the no's, 140 something of them, were from 36 property owners, 38 property owners. Some of them voted 19 times, some of them voted 12 times, numerous times because they were sent numerous surveys. I raised this concern. This is important to us because if you're basing, whether or not property owners want the annexation on a survey that's being sent out, and the survey has, I have concerns about, how the survey was sent, the wording in it, and also how the results were tabulated. I did reach out to our commissioner, to the county mayor, to the county Office of Management and Budget, and asked that information be provided in the report that was provided to the board, to the commissioners. Because what the commissioners got is a report from Mayor Levine Cava saying these are the results. This is out of 840 something property owners, we got 200 and something no's and one yes. But the information that it was not a 100-word statement, that we were prepared, that 15 very important words in the statement of providing them the opportunity to get more information on the survey before they respond, was deleted. And also the fact that of the responses, half of them were numerous duplications by the same property owner. I asked that be provided in the report to the Board of County Commissioners. It wasn't. So I'm stating it here for the record because I think down the road, this is important. I'm also going to ask our attorneys, Roger and Heidi, that you, I don't know if it's a letter of record, memo, whatever, to, I want the county to have that information on record of our concerns with the survey that was sent out for the future.
I'll follow up with you, Mayor, on that.
Okay. So moving forward after that, those were just concerns with the survey, and the survey was important because our commissioner had requested the survey, and he was basing, it was important to him to hear from the property owners. So those discrepancies with the survey, I feel, were very important and detrimental to our city. So our Commissioner Cabrera did, he felt very strongly that he wanted to hear from the property owners in that area. We had a meeting he requested a meeting with the property owners, with the ones that had said no. The ones that had responded no were invited to a meeting here in Miami Springs. We had a meeting approximately 2 weeks ago, William, at our gymnasium. We had chairs set up for 200 and something of the 200 and something no's that were invited. And 7 business owners responded. And the invitations went from, I should say, from the county. The county is the one that sent out the invitations to the meeting to discuss the annexation, answer any questions. 77 property owners responded, attended. The others did not. The ones that responded, that attended the meeting, for the most part, and they each spoke, were not in favor of the annexation. There was, I remember one of the property owners said after he learned there, where William told him what the taxes would be to each one that was there, what the increase in taxes would be. And I think for the most part, there were 100 and something a year, 200 and something a year. There was one property owner, I remember he stated, look, our area is very depressed. We need help there. All for this if we're going to get these improvements, the enhanced police services, definite increases, significant improvements in their infrastructure. They have significant flooding in a lot of the areas. So our commitment was to provide a dedicated police force there in that area with a police substation. Also, significant improvements to the infrastructure, to the flooding, the roadway improvements, the lighting, pedestrian enhancements, which are things we've talked about in the past. Once you're doing stormwater projects and road improvements, it's not that much more to aesthetically improve the area and bring it up. And those were all commitments that we had made. After meeting, I spoke with Commissioner Cabrera a few days later, and he informed me that he was not going to proceed with the annexation. He felt that the property owners in the area should be in favor of it. I tried to discuss how, it's a very small percentage that responded no. And the other property owners that we have spoken to in the past and what we've heard from them is they're not necessarily in favor of the annexation. They're not against it. They're not going to vote, yes, I want it, but they're not against it too. They're fine either way. And that's why they didn't vote. That's why they didn't respond. So, anyway, I wanted to provide that update. At this point, Commissioner Cabrera has stated that he's not going to proceed with the annexation application that we have. However, he did commit to me that he would not, as long as he is in office, that he would not allow that area to be annexed by another municipality, which is something that is very important to us. And that if we can get consensus in the future, property owners change, perceptions change. So if we can get consensus in the future from the property owners there, that they are for the annexation, that he would reconsider it. And in the meantime, that area will not be annexed. Since it is under his jurisdiction, he would have to allow it to be annexed by another municipality. So I want that on the record too. What we will do is we will continue to there's several cities I know that are going to be requesting annexations. So we'll be monitoring that, seeing how these are new annexations. I know Commissioner Cabrera felt that this was something that was started before he was in office. That's true, but it was started before I was in office and all of us too. I mean, things don't reset just because you're elected. So, a lot of things continue. And I know I've said this has gone through 5 mayors and I don't know how many city councils, the annexation, but it is something that we have had 2 votes. In 2018, the county asked us to, after they removed the moratorium on annexations, they said we needed to have another vote to make sure our residents still wanted annexation again. Our residents voted for the annexation, to pursue the annexation. It's something that it's not just, it would help us in lowering our property taxes, which is important. But the real importance there is, the opportunity, and I've talked about this in the past, for small communities like us to be treated equitably as larger municipalities that are allowed to expand their boundaries and their land diversification. And that's happened throughout the county with large communities, and we're a small community centrally located. This is the only opportunity for us to have that. And it is about equity for small communities, social justice for small communities, and that's very important to us. So with that said, I made some notes. I want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out, but at this point, I would say we'll watch. We would have to start our annexation application again. However, there's certain reasons that we may want to, new opportunities that we may want to include in the annexation application. And since, as I stated, there's several cities that are going to be requesting annexation sooner, pursuing that, we'll see what's happening with that, how that's going through, and be sure to pursue the same path that they do if they're successful. So give me one moment just to make sure I haven't left anything out, but I do think that at this point, the commissioner is deciding not to pursue this, and we'll look for opportunities to continue it in the future if the council decides to relook at this after we watch some of the annexations that are happening with other municipalities. New annexation applications that I would say are, I believe, are going to be starting within the next year or two.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
First of all, for the record, I want to commend you as the leader of the city and all the staff and William. We have done, and I think your report is excellent, and we should probably print it up. But anyway, excellent, and it indicates all of the good faith efforts that the city of Miami Springs has put forth in respect to an annexation process. It's my understanding that in addition to the county wanting annexations, the state of Florida has wanted this as well. In other words, they don't like the idea of these unincorporated territories all around the state, and that there's been if not a mandate, a direct order, or whatever, that these processes should take place and these isolated areas be part of a city or a town or whatever. So I commend you and the team and the council for doing this. Secondly, I think we ought to continue to pursue it, providing that there is this kind of mandate, or however we want to call it, from the state and from the county, right? So then they're not telling us we don't want annexation programs to go through. They're actually encouraging it. The process was the process, and the things that went down. I don't understand how, I forgot. I mean, I don't know. I was taught in elementary school, one person, one vote. That's the way the democratic process works. But I commend you for the report and for getting on record. I totally agree that we should pursue our letter to the commission, getting all of this on record. I understand that the commissioner is new, okay, and I understand those dynamics, but and that there may be property owners, as you indicated, they're for or against, but this train has left the station. The annexation train has left the station in the state of Florida and has left the station in the county of Miami-Dade, right? And so, and as you indicated, there are more, requests and petitions and whatever. And so I think we ought to pursue it. Now, we want to have another discussion about how to approach it, keep an eye on what's going forward, but it seems to me unfair to the residents of Miami Springs who voted for this, and to the business owners that were either, kind of lukewarm or, they could take it or leave it, is that there is a movement for annexation. So we weren't trying to do anything that no one else was doing. We're complying with the sentiment of the county and the state for annexation area, for these non-incorporated areas to be incorporated. Seems like a pretty clear situation here. So I am supportive of us pursuing this again. But I think we need to, one, watch what the other processes are, and two, how do we modulate, adjust our approach, right? Because there were other political arenas that no longer exist, right? And the county composition of the county, half of the county has changed. And next year, probably the other half of the county commission is going to change as well. So you've got all kinds of new layers, and in a year and a half, we're going to have a new mayor, right? So all of these things are expected. These are changes that we expect, but I think our caravan should keep moving realistically, but making adjustments.
I would like to say, Councilman Vasquez, and thank you, but I agree with you, but I think we need to take a breather.
Absolutely.
And wait. I think
Absolutely.
we're not pursuing this from what Commissioner Cabrera said to me, promised me, is that he would not allow that area to be annexed by another municipality. But, down in the future, if we can get the consensus from the property owners change, perceptions change.
Yes.
Obviously, you think back 5 years ago, how many things have changed, our perceptions and what's doable and what we're for. So his commitment to me was that, in the future, if that's the situation, then we can pursue it. And I think we'll watch and see I know there's several cities that are going to be starting the process for annexation. And I believe that they will move much quicker than our experience was with the county. So, and like you said, there's new county commissioners there. Things are changing. So perhaps what we went through of, all these years, that won't necessarily be the process as we watch the other cities that are going to be applying for annexations applications soon, in my understanding.
Yep.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think we gave it a good try. This has been a 20-year process. At the moment, this is stalled. I think it's something that in the future we need to continue to look to do. To Councilman Vasquez's point, the sentiment is that counties should be working at kind of the macro level, not at the municipality level. So the county should be working on county level things, not providing the public works for a small area. There is a sentiment that they want these unincorporated parts of Dade County to go to municipalities for precisely that reason. We tried. We were not successful. I think that there's a certain amount of, as we do the postmortem, there's a certain amount of annexation fatigue because it's been such a long time that we've been doing this. I would remind the residents of Miami Springs that we have influence, right? This could have been something that would have helped our city, would have lowered our millage rate. I think it would have been good in terms of economic development for our city. And I think that the business owners in that annexation area probably did a better job of convincing the commissioner about their concerns versus ours. But it doesn't mean that we should quit and trying in the future. I think that it's something that we should, continue to pursue. It's already been 20 years. What's another, we might as well keep trying. But I think it's important for people to understand that we in this community have influence over decision makers, and I think that I think that people are kind of tired of or fatigued about annexation because it's been so long. But this is how this works. You got to be able to pitch it and support it and advocate for ourselves to the very last moment, because otherwise things can slip through your fingers. So I think that's what happened. And I think that, at least in my thinking, part of what we already were talking about doing that would be helpful is we need to get economic development in the 36th Street Business Corridor, in our central business district. We have to be able to show that we can do it. And I think that that's what we need to focus on. We'll keep an eye on annexation, and I think we should continue to pursue it. But I think that we need to just move forward on improving the other economic areas that we have and business areas that we have in our city, so that we could show that it's not just promises about what we can do. We need to show that we can do it. So there's work to be done. I appreciate the work that everybody did. It didn't work out this time, but it's been 20 years. So, we just get back on the horse and keep trying. Thank you.
Okay, and I do want to say that is something that we mentioned. One of the property owners had said, we've never annexed an area. And I said, we have annexed an area. We have the whole east side of the airport.
Abraham.
What we call is an annexation area that we annexed years and years ago and remained with its zoning. So I think that that's important to know that we do have experience with annexation. But anyway, that is, we'll continue to look at the prospect down the road. I agree. This is something that we're certainly not going to pursue anytime in the near future, but new opportunities arise down the road. Okay, so
12C.
12C. Okay, request by the Vice Mayor Santin to discuss a strategic plan.
Well, I think pretty much we just started to talk about it. In a lot of ways, the annexation and getting these people to realize that we can do it. We need to show them, right? So I think the strategic plan, even though it's super complex, so I'm not here to say we're going to get it done in a couple months. This is work. But I think we definitely need to have a defined vision of what our city is going to look like. And that obviously is going to allow us to address all community needs. Obviously, you start prioritizing them, 36th Street, parking. This is all part of a strategic plan. And once you define all this stuff, most important is that we define what the future is going to look like, right, of the city. And I said 10 years, it could be 5 years. But we have to definitely get all the stakeholders in the community involved in that vision, because then that's the only way we're going to get everybody else to support all these other ideas, including 36th Street, which will be a huge conversation in our community. So if they see something in the future that they like and they can see it happening, I think they'll be easier for them to embrace it and support it. So that's why I want to, like Omar and Fred were saying, I'm glad that they're taking the steps of doing a strategic plan on the Parks and Rec. So basically the same thing will be addressed with all the different departments, and they all have their input, and the community will have an input. And I just think it lets you, measure these things that we want to implement. It doesn't let you to get too far ahead without addressing some of the issues that we need to address. So I just think that as much as it's complex, I think we need to have something defined. And the only way you can do it, and obviously, every time we got to talk about professional consultation, it costs money. But I know Councilman Fayette had brought up for the zoning on 36th Street. I think that person who's going to be consulting on that needs to know what the vision of our whole community is going to be like. Because zoning can't be just based on the use. That's where they make the mistakes. It's kind of be more form-based zoning, which means everything kind of falls in place. So having a defined idea of the vision of our community will help in those addressing those priorities. So I just wanted to bring it up. I know it's not easy, but it's definitely a team that I believe we're all committed. I know Mayor Alonso, sorry, I apologize, Manager Alonso has mentioned before, it's been tried before. It's tried before and it hasn't worked. A lot of times it's because, yes, every 2 years we're going to have possibilities of a new council. But I think also is the commitment hasn't really been committed to come into fruition. And I think if you show the community that you are involved, maybe you don't have to worry about coming back and addressing, being contested. And then we do have a committed team. Before we had people that had other aspirations, and that doesn't help. So I just want to see about discussing it and professionally thinking on how we can create it.
Mayor? So one of the things that you instituted when you became mayor that I thought was really good was a separate workshop where we talked about everything, like every project, years out. And I thought that was really helpful because I felt like it gave us a 30,000-foot view. And I think that it gave us kind of a North Star to go to. So I know that you proposed doing that again, and I would have no problem with having conversations as part of that process to talk about the vision that we have, but that we do so much for this city. I'm so proud of the work that we do and all the projects that we have and all the things. We have such great people that work for our city. And I think that they, as we saw with Omar there, they've got a master plan in place. And I really think that workshop, even if we did it over 2 meetings, I thought that was invaluable because we really got a sense of every idea, ask, want, project that we had in mind was part of that meeting. And I think that would go a long ways in terms of setting our direction, because I think that we've gotten a lot done and we've executed a lot of things that we talked about in that meeting. And I would love to be able to have one or more of those types of workshops where we really, by department, talk about what it is that we feel we want. As far as I'm concerned, that can happen soon enough. And I think that that's something that we should do before the budget process starts, because I think it gives us a good direction and a destination to work towards.
Thank you, Councilman. And I think, Erica, you are working on that, on getting that started, and the workshop would be 2 processes, and it may need to be extended to more than one night, but one is all the projects that are currently in works, because like we said, there's no reset. I mean, these things are going on for years, and we have some major infrastructure projects now that we received state appropriations for years ago, and then the pandemic hit, and and things were delayed. So that puts us all together on the same page as to what projects the city has going, what projects are planned. And then the other part of that is each of us being able to bring up what we would like to see, individual things that we would like to, like your idea on, a strategic plan for the city, of having that. So, and you're working on a date? Or
Right,
you've
the
already-
date I
May
was shooting
16th,
for
right?
May 16th.
Okay, May 16th.
Yes, it's
So
a
that'll be
Tuesday, 6
workshop.
o'clock. I'll send out invites tomorrow.
Okay, and I agree. I think that really helps us all. Plus, discussing ideas that we all have ideas of things that we would like to see the city, and some of them can be done pretty short and easy. Those are the best ones. It's like discuss it and
I feel like in those meetings, we get a lot of consensus on things. Once we bring, when we lay it all before us, I think we get a lot done.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So when I first saw the item for a strategic plan, and so I come from a different background, right? So strategic plans at university levels. Temple University, 4 plans. About 20 years I was there. Miami-Dade College, at least 3, right? These are major, there are 2 reasons for them. Number one is because those entities are part of a reporting structure, which is Southern academic, the SACS, the
Accreditation.
The accreditation of both, and then of course the middle stage for Temple. So that kind of forces the institution to have these plans, and then there are some mid-year evaluations and so forth and so on. Of course, they're different than a government agency, right? Because we have elections and players change, and some people get term limited and so forth. So I like what Councilman Fahed mentioned, that these conversations, I think they're very workable. They bring out lots of ideas and give us the opportunity to really look at things and say, these are, a vision, right, of what and I think that's what Councilman Santini is really getting at, is that it's that vision and understanding that we're dynamic bodies that can change, and players can change. We're going to have a new managing director, city manager coming up. We have a new finance director. So those are things that are part of the mix, right? And so I wholeheartedly support that. I'm glad we got a date. I know I had May 16 written down for some reason. And I'm glad it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And it gives us the opportunity, something that Councilman Fahed said about our focus and what I call accentuating the positive, our economic development. I want to talk about that later on in my closing remarks, is that for us to, in that vision, accentuate the positive and accentuate the city's ability to have a more vibrant economic community, both small business and middle businesses. So what's the agenda for May 16th? So
Well,
kind of
And,
open.
and let me just remind everyone for that meeting, because I know our administration will be preparing the projects that are ongoing, in the process or
Yes.
being planned. But then I think it's really important for each of us to submit to William.
Yes, yes.
He'll still be here. I'm going to use.
You got me
I'm
on-
going to say
you
that
got
as
me
often
until
as
the
I can this
26th.
last.
We're gonna milk it.
What your projects, your thoughts are too, so that's already
Yes.
there. And that way we can
Yes.
all start
Okay.
thinking about it. I mean, just a simple line like, it'll be like this, like the title of what the vice mayor had, discuss the strategic plan, something like that. Again, you would submit that, and that way we all have an idea of
Yep.
of what other things you want to discuss.
Yep.
We all want to discuss.
May I have
Okay.
my item that I,
Yes, sir. Okay, did you have anything else?
No.
Vice Mayor, and I do want to mention with the strategic plan, my understanding is the city had a strategic plan. It was before I was on the council, about 10 years ago,
In 2011.
2011. They created,
We had 4 public meetings at the Sosa Theater. We had a survey go out. It was a lengthy process, and the final report came out in December. And I have a copy here that I'll send to all of you so you can see
Please.
what a lot of the things we're discussing today about Northwest 36th Street was there back then. But then, like everything happened, it just wasn't followed up. So.
okay. Okay, I think like so many
Because
things.
during that time, we started in 2011, we had an election. We started the process. It came out in 2012. In 2013, we had
New
another
election.
election. Some new people came in. And then in 2015, which was the last memo we made to council, November 9th of 2015,
Yeah.
we sent them a memo with the strategic plan and told them the updates up to that date, and if they wanted to discuss and make any changes to it. But that was November of 2015.
Which was another election. and I think that that's going to be an important thing with, and we have been really good in this is, that when we've made these, that we make sure that we can follow up but obviously, every 2 years there is a new council. And I think with the strategic plan that we develop, if we have really consistent goals that, that are achievable, but they're pretty common goals that we want to aspire to, and we have metrics, we have a way of achieving them and metrics to measure them and all this, and we can maybe include a process into the yearly review of the strategic plan that maybe that wasn't included there. Something like this, a required review of it and discussion of it. Okay, great. So the next item is a discussion by Councilman Behet.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. At the last Miami-Dade League of Cities, we had a commissioner from Aventura who stood up and spoke, and he has stage 4 cancer. And his goal is to go to Tallahassee at the state level and advocate for more funding for cancer research. And the only ask that he had for everybody in that room is that he would like for every municipality in Dade County to pass a resolution just in support of asking at the state level for more funding. And so he already had some. I don't know how many people. I know that as soon as the meeting was over, I walked up to him and I said, how can we help? He said that he'd be happy to come in and speak. He also has a template for the resolution. It's not going to cost us anything. It's just support. And I think it's the least that we can do. And so with consensus from the council, I would like to have him share with our city attorney the template for that resolution of support for him to be able to, so that Miami Springs can be one of the municipalities in support of him. And then he said he would come and speak at the meeting on that day. So I think that at the next meeting, we could probably get that done. And I'm sure that he would be grateful for that. So if I have consensus from my peers, I'd like for us to move on that and invite him to our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, great. And perhaps the template for the resolution, if you could get it ahead of time, we could
Yes.
already get started on that.
Yes,
Have it for
yes.
the next meeting. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so we'll move now to reports and recommendations from our city attorney, Roger.
Mayor, good evening. But before I let Roger take the mic, I again thank you all for your indulgence as I appear virtually again. I was not planning on being sick this many times during this pregnancy, but unfortunately that's just been the case. I do want to take a moment. We don't really have a report this evening, but I want to take a moment to introduce Roger Poe, who has, as many of you know, been my right hand for the last 3 years since he joined the firm. And I would like for him to be able to take a moment to introduce himself to the council and to the community, so you can get to know a little bit more about who Roger is.
Thank you, Heidi. Good evening, council members. Again, I'm very honored to be assisting right now as an assistant city attorney and filling in for Heidi in the meantime, while she's going to be on maternity leave, which is incredible. Very briefly about myself, I am a Florida State graduate. I know some folks might not like that, but that's all right. I went to FIU Law for law school, and graduated and got my bar degree in 2019. I've been assisting the city, as Heidi mentioned, for about 3 years. I love this community and I'm very happy to be serving and assisting you all. And I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to provide excellent guidance and filling in big shoes that Heidi has set up here. So I just thank you for this.
And Roger, I just want to
What
state,
Roger didn't mention,
he's
I'm
he's
sorry,
been
what-
working at the city quite a bit. I know we've had numerous Zoom calls, with Roger where you've lent your expertise on certain issues. So this isn't new to you. You've been helping us all along.
he really
Sorry,
has,
Heidi.
Mayor, and What he didn't mention is that Roger brings to us a unique experience. While he was in law school, he served as the legislative aide to a county commissioner. So he's very familiar with how things work at the county. He's had a passion for government since before joining our firm, and he's been an incredible asset to our team over the last 3 years. So I'm very pleased that I'm able to work with him and have him help with all of the matters in the city. I'll leave it at that.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Roger. I know with the work that we've done in the past with you, has been excellent. There's so many items that come up that aren't necessarily brought, to the council meetings, but they're ongoing issues, in the city, and we have numerous Zoom calls, meetings, and Roger's been on several of them for areas of expertise. So,
Roger, if I can
welcome.
just on record say that FSU is not a bad thing. My daughter graduated in May, so I graduated from FIU too. So you got two things in favor.
Good.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if Haiti will be in the next meeting, but I just want to wish you well. The good news is you're not new to this rodeo, and so much wellness and good luck with everything, and God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mayor.
Much appreciated.
Mayor, I'd like to say that we are very fortunate to have Roger, but I like Heidi better because she's a 2-time alumnus like myself. And so we won't hold it against Roger, but just had to say that.
My view is I'm for any college that either my husband and I are alumni, including or that our daughters were. The next is I'm for any university in Florida. Doesn't matter. And the next step after that is anything in the South. After that, it's like, I don't care. Okay, so city manager, our esteemed
Yes,
city
ma'am.
manager.
I wanted to bring something up to your attention. I've been talking to Heidi about it last couple of days. It's obvious that we're not going to have a permanent city manager in place by the time I leave. So that means that you will have to. So I was talking to Heidi about the timeline for that, and we're suggesting that at the next meeting of May 8th, you appoint an interim manager so that by the following meeting on May 22nd, during that time period, they can develop a contract with the interim manager so that they can be in place and take over June 1st. So I don't know if that timeline meets with everyone's approval, or that gives you from now until May 8th to be thinking about
Yeah,
possible choices.
we kind of don't have a choice, right? We've only got 2 more meetings. So
Right.
I say we discuss it at the next meeting and then make it so in the last meeting before William leaves.
I think we.
Okay, is there anything else, Heidi, that we need to discuss now before that, or it'll just be appointing the interim city manager at the next meeting? Roger?
So I think at the next meeting.
I think it'll,
Agenda item.
yeah, it'll be, I think the idea is that at the next meeting, you give us consensus, you give us a direction on who you would like to appoint as the interim city manager. And then what we'll do is we will, through my firm's labor team, through our employment attorneys, we'll negotiate a contract with whoever that interim city manager is. What I've explained to William is that in other situations in other cities, what we've done is if the interim city manager to be selected by the governing body is someone who's already a city employee, we have done agreements with that employee setting forth what their the terms of their employment will be while they're interim manager. And then if they are ultimately, if that person either is not selected as city manager or just doesn't want to be city manager, whatever the case may be, that person would then return to their prior assignment at the conclusion of their term as interim. So what we would need at the next meeting is just who you want that person to be. And then from there, we can negotiate that contract and bring it back to you for approval at the second May meeting.
Okay, sounds good. So it'll be an agenda item for the next meeting. Is there anything else, Heidi or Roger? Or, sorry, we're on William. Sorry.
That's all I have.
Okay, and our Assistant City Manager, Tammy.
I'll mention a few things. Ongoing is until May 8th is the collection for the Lotus House for the women's shelter, just the collection of items down below in our lobby, as well as the Village of Virginia Gardens, as well as City of Miami Springs invites everyone to their second annual family bike scavenger hunt, and that will be on April 29th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then also the troops, there's two Troop Eagle Scout projects that need your support. And there's going to be a car wash on Sunday, April 30th at the Miami Springs VG Optimus from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And it's $10 for the donations for that car wash. That's it.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, let's start with our Vice Mayor.
It's just like a goodbye thing.
Closings.
Closing
Just
statement.
closing, if you have anything
Well,
you
it's-
want to mention.
Just in general, I guess now being on this side shows you the dynamics of a team that kind of working together. And I'm glad to see it. So I'm happy that I got a good group next to me. It looks like we're going to be a good team to work. And so that's my only closing statement, is that I'm glad that I sometimes see it on the other side and you don't quite see it, and kind of see it clear now, and I'm happy.
Thank you, George.
Good to know. All right.
All right.
Councilwoman Bravo.
So first and foremost, I do want to thank you, Mayor, because you have been a consistent force to the approach of annexation. And I will give you credit because it's what I look for in a leader. It's what I look for in a mayor. And even if it didn't get to the next phase that we anticipated, you did your due diligence. You showed up to every commissioner's meeting. You showed face for us. So I just want to thank you for that. It's recognized, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
You're welcome. My next one is, I want to say thank you to Julie. I know she's gone. She did a phenomenal job there with the River Cities events, and along with her team. I know Mikey is here. He was part of that success. So thank you, Mikey, taking time out of your very busy and exciting life. I want to be like you when I grow up with all concerts. I love this guy. Another thing here, I know we had a sad event that just happened over the weekend with the homeless. So I know that we've been having this issue for quite some time. So I took the initiative together with our city manager, Alonso, and we've reached out and we've sent, I don't know, all the pictures we've ever taken. And I've reached out to Commissioner Cabrera's office. They put me immediately in contact with the Homeless Trust. So we are in communications with the executive director of the Homeless Trust. I've sent her, it was so many that I created a Dropbox. And we sent that over to her to see how it is that they can help us. There's some potential options where they do maybe a sweep of the city, see where our targeted areas are, where our issues are, to see how we can also help them as well. It's not just targeting them, but maybe providing for relocation or the help that they need. In addition to working with, they mentioned something to their public works sector on maybe closing off problematic areas. So that's that on the Homeless Trust. So thank you, William, for helping me gather those pictures. I also want to say thank you to my community. I feel very honored to have gained your trust. The first time around, it was a leap of faith. This time around, it was trust. So I just wanted to say thank you to my community. And I'm very appreciative to be up here once again. Thank you, Mikey, for your constant support. It was a rough campaign this time around personally. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And just like Councilman Vice Mayor Santino, I'm super excited to be up here with all of you guys. Like Walter said earlier, we've accomplished so many things on that workshop that we did the first time around. I feel from there, we just started like, boom, we started checking off the list, and it feels really good because for the most part, we do have a meeting of the minds, because us as residents living here, we see the desires, and it's nice that we all want those things. So I'm really looking forward to the next workshop and slamming on there that 36th Street. I want the county to want to be a part of us. I want those businesses to want to be a part of us. They don't want to be a part of us, fine, but let's go ahead and control what we can make good. And I know that we can do that on 36th Street. And we're gonna show face for that one. And well, we'll get into that later. I also wanted to say thank you to Fred. I'm looking forward to hearing back from Omer on in respects to the schools for using potentially some of the school courts. That would be great. And I think that's it. It was sad that we couldn't have the fireworks this year, but that's why we sit up here as a council. And like I would think of it as a board of directors for the city. We try our best to always execute to the best of our abilities, but this was a responsibility. And I think that we made the right call. I hope nobody gets mad, because it was a matter of liability, safety, procedure, and protecting ultimately the city asset, which is not our asset, it's all of our assets. So that's money that's being well spent. Everybody's invested into that, and I would think that they would understand the call that we took. And I think that is it. I'll make sure to complete myself the Recreation and Centennial Board survey as soon as they're available. I think the Recreation one is available. I have to follow
Yeah,
up, so I'm
it's
glad I saw that. I'll make sure to do that. And that's it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I don't usually have long closings, but I was not here the last meeting. And I hope I took away some of Victor's time. So, well, welcome back, Victor. Congratulations, Councilman. I'm so glad that you're a part of our team now, and I'm really glad to be back next to the mayor, next to the woman. My next to, I don't feel alone. Woman and woman here,
And Women's Club members.
yeah, and Councilman Fajay for your sound and consistent voice. Thank you. Oh, and to our city manager, Tiami, thank you for dealing with me all the time. And it's unfortunate that I'm not going to be able to bother with Leon that much anymore, at least to the city. I mean, I have your phone number, so I don't know. And thank you, Roger, for tapping in. And Heidi, I hope you feel better.
She's good.
Councilman Behet.
I will be brief. Just want to welcome back the returning members of the council. Want to welcome the vice mayor, who is new up here. The over under on number of meetings that it takes for people to say my last name right. And she just it's been 2 years and she just got it wrong. The J in Spanish is pronounced like an H, like in fajitas. Everybody loves fajitas. Fajet. Fajet. Thank you. Yeah, well, at work, I tell people as long as it's right on the paychecks. We don't do this for money, so I'm just gonna leave it to you guys.
Councilman Fahet, I share your pain with name issues. Considering that my name is Heidi and everybody likes to call me Heidi, I am right there with you.
I hear you. Okay, so thank you to everybody. Productive meeting.
One of the things I say to the Councilman Fahet sometimes is I go, you know what differentiates me from everyone else on the council?
She got it right from the
Pronounce
beginning.
your name.
She got it right.
It's because I got to say his mother was my daughter's Spanish teacher at Springview Elementary for years. So Miss Fahet. I
Yep.
knew the name.
Walter, I'm sorry.
It's all right. We got it.
But it took you 2 years to tell me.
It's okay. It's okay.
Did I get it right or no?
Councilman
No.
Vasquez.
That's what I thought.
I wanna ask, request that on the next agenda, we have the Economic Development and Business Development Task Force report. I think we need to get to it. There was a workshop, well-attended workshop, I thought, where the report was brought up and discussed. I think it's time to, as I indicated that evening, is to really start looking at it and prioritize the items. And so I'd like to see that on the,
I think that that would need to be a workshop again.
Okay.
It's,
So then-
but my understanding with that, and we can discuss it at the next meeting, perhaps agenda item of discussion by
Okay.
you as to the Business Economic Development Task Force, report, and we can decide where to go, was we were delaying the parking study and we wanted to, so,
yes.
and plus we were waiting for the new city council. So if you want to speak with Erica
will
and get
speak
that
with
an
Erica.
agenda of
Absolutely.
discussion for that, and then we can
Absolutely.
decide where we want to go with that,
Um,
of when we want to discuss that.
Secondly is, I've had several discussions with different members of the Miami Springs Police Department. I talked to William about this earlier, and I have some concerns of their needs and the resources. And I think it's something that should be part of a workshop and, moving forward to our budgetary discussion. But I am concerned of the overwhelming use of our police force at the hotels. Coming into the meeting this evening, all 5 of the available police officers were at one hotel. If something else happened in the city, there's no one to send, but maybe the chief himself. So just, I'm raising that as a special concern. We've talked about bed tax, we've talked about these other things. I'd like to see us have a conversation soon about these needs, because it's my sense that they're being overworked. It's not just the 40% calls, it may be 60% at this point. And it's a really a concern of mine. And I spoke to William earlier before the meeting, and I will follow up some conversations to bring some things forward on that. It occurred to me, Councilwoman Bravo, that the initiative that you've taken around with the city manager around homeless and Commissioner Cabrera's office. And I think it's important that, and I just heard about something, and I'll find more information for this, because I'd be interested in knowing a little bit more about the homeless population. Who are they? What are the specific conditions? So one of the things that I've seen arise in a number of places, and as an active member of the American Legion, is the increase of homeless veterans. And there are some initiatives that maybe can connect it to the councilwoman's efforts with the commissioner's office, that if you kind of break it down a little bit, say, they're homeless veterans, they should, there's a different initiative there, and not to separate them from any other homeless person, but I, as a veteran myself, it's very, very disconcerting. And I mentioned this young woman this evening, Carla Martinez Bustamante. And it's been a huge loss. I told William when I spoke to him earlier before I went to the cemetery that she was a special young lady. She was my youngest volunteer for my campaign. She worked on both my campaigns, and she was very excited about doing that. To see young people interested and involved in the political system, and to lose her that early is something that was very touching to me. And lastly, I want to just mention, when we were talking about the schools, and I appreciate your thoughts on this, Mayor, that there've been changes in the county. So I grew up evenings in public schools, right? So basketball, and a number of other sports, and the winter sports, all of the middle schools, all of the high schools were open. They were staffed. One thing that we had in New York at that time was a very, very large and effective police athletic league. And that was police officers and the police department involved with all of these facilities. So I don't remember the details, but I knew that there were always officers, off-duty officers, manning the tables and the places. I'm not sure if that exists in Miami. I haven't followed this in a very long time, the police athletic league. They used to have those other things that were available that the schools didn't have to worry about staffing. Now, I don't know about the liability and how all those things got worked out, but I think that the idea that we pursue with our school commissioner, who knows the city well, is a good one, and I'd like to, help out any way I can with that, because I think it would be great and would be a wonderful thing for the city of Miami Springs, especially for the high schoolers. That's all I got. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. I have a few things. First of all, welcome to the council members, the new Councilman Centine. Welcome back, Councilwoman Bravo, and Councilman Vasquez, and Councilman Fahet, who I can pronounce his name very well. It's really an honor to serve. I know you all feel like I do. We're not going to agree on everything. We're going to get testy sometimes, but I know that we all share, a vision for the city and a love for it and to serve. So it's an honor to be here with all of you. And I look forward to the next 2 years of getting a lot of stuff done for our city. And I know we can. I wanted to express my, my thoughts on one of our Miami Springs residents, Vilma, that I know a lot of us know. It's been wonderful to see how the community, so many people in the community are working to try to raise funds to assist with her medical needs. And I just wanted to say our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family. And I hope that the Lord helps her have a speedy recovery. Another thing is hurricane season is approaching, starts June 1st. Our city administration, I want to ask you to please update our hurricane plan and then get it to all of us. The hurricane plan, when we get it, we'll be getting a hard copy because, as you know, during emergencies, cell phones, computers may not work. So it's really important that you have access to the hard copy, which kind of tells you how things will. And obviously anything that's in a plan is meaningless because reality hits, but it gives us an idea of, of what guidelines as to what we should be aiming for and a way to communicate. And and also I want to encourage all the residents to start working on your personal hurricane plans. We tend to think it's not till the end of the summer that we have to concern ourselves, but there's been some dramatic changes in weather patterns in the past, as we all know, and hurricane season is getting really active. Even though we haven't had direct threats, they're starting much earlier in the season. So we all want to be prepared. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is I listen on Monday mornings, the League of Cities has, and we're all kind of in a difficult situation because of the sunshine law. We can't talk to each other except, and I don't think residents realize, except if when we're like this at a public meeting. But there is, the League of Cities has a Monday morning call-in during legislative session where you call and they just kind of quickly update you on the current bills that are in front of our legislators. And some of them are of importance to us. Some of them, probably don't impact us much, but it gives you an idea of anything and the ability to quickly contact our legislators, which I think it's important. It shouldn't just be one of us. If any of us feel that, it's an important issue, to contact them and let them know how this is going to impact our city and whether we oppose or are in favor of this. More often than not, it's something that we oppose because it's a lot of preempting of our community. But one that is of concern to me right now is the changes to short-term vacation rentals. We passed an ordinance in January of 2022 to address all the problems that we were having with short-term vacation rentals. And as people may know, we're not allowed to prohibit short-term vacation rentals, which I don't know that any of us necessarily want to do that, but the state won't allow us to prohibit it. But we passed an ordinance to kind of allow us to regulate the problems that we were having of noise, of, occupancy, of, them advertising on Airbnb, a 3-2 with a pool that sleeps 20, so we put in a lot of things in the ordinance that really dramatically have improved the complaints that we've had, and the short-term vacation rentals for the most part work in harmony with our community, with our neighbors. They provide obviously a choice for people to even live in our city for a short time and enjoy it. So, but some of these changes with the short-term vacation rentals would practically make our ordinance useless, would not allow us to have the requirements that we do for licensing, for enforcement, for having a manager available when we get complaints. And most importantly, perhaps, is not allow us to put the occupancy requirements that we have now. If it's a 3-2, it can only be advertised an occupancy of 2 per bedroom. So that means that it can sleep 6. That would be eliminated unless we were to pass those restrictions the way the bill is written, unless we were to pass those same occupancy restrictions to the other homes in Miami Springs, which, clearly that's way overstepping what a city needs to do. So what I've been trying to reach out to our legislators is just to let them know that these are very important issues for our city, and particularly this occupancy limit, that the wording on it has to be specific to short-term vacation rentals, not something that requires all of our residences to, for us to pass an ordinance saying any 3-bedroom, the only occupancy you can have in there is 6 people, which there's no way to enforce that. With that said, that's all. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great
Thank you,
evening.
Mayor.
Thank you. Pass the house.